I'm going to tell you up front, this case isn't wild. It's not crazy. It's not out of control. But it's real, and it's stupid, and it's petty, and it's ridiculous. And they're fighting over what school the kid should go to. Like, grow the up and decide. Compromise, figure it out, get along for your kid's sake. OMG. These people, stop hating each other more than you love your kid.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Calling case 2023-1344 DC, Porter Ward versus Danielle Newburn. Today is Monday, October 16th, 2023 at 9:09 a.m.
Court will note the appearance of Ms. Storm on behalf of the plaintiff, Ms. Ives on behalf of defendant. This matter is before the court on the plaintiff's motion to preserve status quo. Ms. Storm, you can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I believe our motion speaks for itself, but essentially what we have is issues regarding the minor child in kindergarten. And as the court is aware, kindergarten is not compulsory attendance in Michigan until school is not compulsory until first grade. However, these parties agree that the child is ready for kindergarten and should be enrolled. They don't have an agreement at this time as to where the child should be enrolled. So the child goes back and forth depending on what parenting time schedule is at that time. Additionally, there are issues regarding my client used to be able to pick the minor child up after school and would provide care for him and watch him for mother until mother was done working. That's no longer happening, which my client would desire to resume. We understand that essentially we cannot do a real ruling today based on the fact that we have conflicting sides and we have a stack of evidence here that is based solely on the response that mother had to our ex parte. So we do have mediation scheduled for next week with mediator John Brundage on the 23rd. So there is hope that we will be able to resolve it then. However, we would be requesting an evidentiary hearing to try to resolve these issues should mediation be unsuccessful.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Ives?
Thank you, Your Honor. If the court were to make a ruling today, we would ask that the court rule in favor that the child stay in Dudley Elementary. There is a contentious piece in this matter. The history is that the child was attending preschool at Bright Lights Learning Education Center. And then in June, the plaintiff father on his days, on Thursday and Friday, signed the child up for the Montessori daycare. Unbeknownst to my client, his intention was to enroll that child in kindergarten there. My client was very opposed to the private school for a number of reasons and had indicated her intention to enroll the child in Dudley Elementary, which is not far from both of their homes. That school being a STEM cell school and knowing that the child gravitates to math and science. My client did enroll the child in Dudley. The child does currently go to school at Dudley on Monday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and then on alternating weeks when the child is with her on Wednesday night, on Thursday mornings. And now since fall, the child also goes to Montessori school on Thursdays, alternating weeks, and then every Friday when the child is in dad's care. We believe that that's really inconsistent for the child. We believe right now, pending mediation, the court should make a ruling that the child be maintained at Dudley Elementary. Ultimately, this is a contentious matter, and if the court decides not to make a ruling today, an evidentiary hearing would need to be held. We do have mediation scheduled next week with hopes that we can resolve these matters. The child is in fact in kindergarten right now. And I think both of the parties do agree that the child is ready for kindergarten. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Well, what the court's going to do is I do note in the reviewing the answer does admit that the parenting schedule of paragraph 5 of the plaintiff's petition is correct and accurate. So the court will order that parenting time continue as per paragraph 5 of the petition or motion in this particular matter. Of course, not going to intercede at this point as it relates to schooling. We'll address that through an evidentiary hearing if we have to. So we will set an evidentiary hearing and keep us posted if if you're able to get resolution through mediation, and then we can take that off, but we will set it for an evidentiary hearing. And Ms. Storm, you can prepare the order as it relates to that parenting time as per your petition.
Thank you, Your Honor. And just to clarify, does that include the practice where my client would pick the child up after school and provide care for the child until mom finishes working?
They've admitted to paragraph 5. I think that's what you have in paragraph 5. And as a result, the court is going to continue that, I guess you say, schedule that the parties have been utilizing as agreed to in the answer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I
Okay.
think that just to clarify though, Your Honor, the child is in an after-school program at Dudley Elementary where he does work on his math numbers. And so we think that that's beneficial for the child to maintain in that program until further order of the court.
Well, I don't know how beneficial it is, and I don't know if something's going to be resolved through mediation or evidentiary hearing. So I don't think that's going to again, create any sorts of issues in that short period of time. I'm simply going to continue what's in paragraph 5 at the current time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a
There
good
you
day,
go.
everyone.
Ms. Newburn, please unmute your cell phone. There we go. Thank you. Okay, this is 2023-1344 DC. Order Ward versus Danielle Newburn. It is Monday, November 13th, 2023 at 1:44 p.m. Attorney Alicia Storm for plaintiff and Attorney Ives for defendant.
Good afternoon to everyone. This matter is before the court for a settlement conference. I've been apprised that the case was not settled. And is that the state of affairs at this point, Ms. Storm?
Yes.
Ms. Ives?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. So it looks like we're going to have to schedule the matter for trial. Ms. Storm, how long do you think you'll need for a trial in this matter?
Your Honor, if I may interrupt, I think we already were given a date. Your assistant, Christy, called us both and had wanted to get those dates set. So I think we have a trial date already set in stone.
Well,
Yes, we do. I missed that. December 7th.
court appreciates that the staff is so efficient.
Thank you. I appreciate Ms. Ives interjecting because that saved me from having to say it.
Okay. Well, that's good. Okay, so it looks like we do have a trial date set in this matter. So we'll proceed then to that date and get the matter hopefully resolved at that time.
And I just want to confirm, if I may, Your Honor, that the court would like actual hard copies of the exhibits delivered to your office at least 7 days before.
Correct.
Okay. So no visual sharing on the screen.
Well,
Everyone has their own copy of exhibit.
You can do that at the time of the hearing if you don't want to share screen stuff. I like the copies because what I do is I refer back to them at different times or as I'm preparing the finding, and it's harder to get those out, especially if they're lengthy. So I like the hard copies so that we have that for purposes of the ruling.
Thank you. Does the court require a witness list as well to be filed?
Well, if you look at your case scheduling order, it says in there that the witness list and the exhibit list would be disclosed no later than 21 days after the first mediation date. And so I'll tell you, if in fact they are disclosed after that date, the court will not allow either the witnesses or the exhibits to be introduced at trial if it doesn't comply with the case scheduling order.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
okay. Anything else, Ms. Storm?
Just that we have, of course, a few Thanksgiving coming up in between now and then and any other holidays. Should the parties just be expected to follow the Calhoun policy as written?
Do we have an order in place at the current time?
We have an order for parenting time, but I think we neglected to put holidays in there by oversight.
Okay, Ms. Ives, is that accurate?
I would believe so. I think my client would like, Danielle, if you could confirm, would you like to have the parenting time, the Calhoun standard implemented?
Yes.
Okay. So, Ms. Storm, I guess because you brought up, I'll ask you would at least prepare a quick order that would just state that the parties will follow the standard holiday parenting time. And I don't know which of the parties had, let's say the last one, which would have been Labor Day, but we'll alternate off that. Whoever had that date will alternate off that date.
Okay.
Okay.
So who did have, I think Mr. Ward had Labor Day. Can you confirm, Ms. Storm?
Parties ended up sharing it. They each got half the weekend, so it really kind of ended up being a wash.
Okay, well, let's go back to the one before that. Who had the 4th of July then?
Who had 4th of July?
Oh, we did.
My client had 4th of July.
Okay, then we'll alternate off that date then.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay,
Danielle, you would get Thanksgiving then.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
well, let's
As I
clarify.
say, I don't know if that's
If we alternate
accurate.
off of the 4th of July, she doesn't get Thanksgiving.
correct. My client would.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep,
Okay.
that's true.
thank you. The court will end this matter at 1:49 PM. We'll just see you on the scheduled trial date then.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.
I can't hear anybody else though.
I can't hear Judge at all.
Judge isn't talking right now.
Oh, that would be why.
Just getting set up here. The 37th Circuit Court is now in session with the Honorable Brian K. Kirkham presiding, calling case 2023-1344 DC, Porter Ward versus Danielle Newborn. Today is Tuesday, February 20th, 2024 at 10 a.m.
Court will note the appearance of Ms. Storm on behalf of the plaintiff, Ms. Ives on behalf of defendant. This matter is before the court pursuant to the plaintiff's motion for temporary parenting time. Ms. Storm.
Thank you. Good morning, Your Honor. So we were last before this court on October 16th regarding the issue of temporary parenting time, at which point this court did grant our motion for the interim parenting time, specifically regarding after-school parenting time on Mondays, Wednesdays, and alternating Wednesdays that are not my client's typical parenting time. He would normally provide after-school childcare from after school from about 3:45, 4 o'clock-ish most days until about 6 o'clock p.m. The court did grant our motion. However, almost immediately after that hearing, we had trouble with compliance with said order. Mom began having more days off of work and having more early out days. And instead of allowing that time with my client or even having that time herself, the child would remain in the after-school program that is part of the issue with the clients until 6:30 at night. Further, mother has changed her job 2 times since the entry of that temporary order, or since our hearing on that temporary order. First, she was getting out earlier and her pickup would then be about 4:30, allowing only about 20 to 30 minutes of parenting time after school for my client. Or now that she has gone back to her old job, she is getting days off that now align with the days that my client would have had. There have been multiple days where my client has been denied the parenting time. For example, in November, he would only be allowed that after-school parenting time on Mondays. It was not allowed on Tuesdays or Wednesdays. And in February of this year, he's already been withheld 4 days, February 5th and 6th, and 12th and 13th. There are additional issues regarding snow days and whether or not the child would be able to have those times with my client, or if he would be left with the child's great grandmother who is elderly and has some health issues that are concerning. And so it just seems as though mom is bent on getting around our orders any way she can. I know we have a hearing coming up. But we just wanted enforcement of the temporary order so that my client can continue to have the after-school parenting time until 6 o'clock p.m. on the Monday, Tuesday, and alternating Wednesday. That is not his typical parenting time. Excuse me, his typical parenting time until we're able to get these issues resolved by the court. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Ives, have read your answer, so you don't need to reiterate that. Any other response?
I don't, Your Honor, but I think ultimately if my client is able to be out of work in time to pick the child up from school, the school does not let the children out until 3:50 p.m. And most times the plaintiff will pick the child up to an hour early before school even gets out. And when my client is available and has the opportunity to either not work or be out of school or be out of work early, she has routinely and historically had that time on Mondays and Tuesdays. And we would ask the court that, the idea is that dad is kind of getting the first right of refusal, but this child is in school until 3:50. And if he's going to exercise parenting time, we'd ask that, if my client's not out of work, that he have that time at 3:50 p.m. when the child gets let out of school, and then until mom gets out of work. But, like I said, Your Honor, the only reason why my client doesn't pick the child up at 3:50 is because the plaintiff has already picked the child up. There is an after-school program that the child really likes. It's called the 21st Century Program. My client enrolled the child for an after-school extra learning program that allows the child to have care up until 5:30. When my client is out of work early and the child wants to stay at school and do the learning and the creativity things that they do, she has been letting him do that. But that's just because the only way she's able to do that is because she's out of work early or gets there. And that's assuming that he hasn't picked the child already up before he got out of school. So it's a little bit of a quandary, Your Honor. We'd ask that the court at least order that the child be maintained in school until the school lets out. I mean, that's going to be one of the issues that the court's going to hear on March 14th, I believe, is where the child will go to school. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Well, what the court did in this time when we entered that order back from the hearing on October 16th, the intent was that the plaintiff would be able to pick up the child when the defendant was working and couldn't pick up the child. It appears now from what's been stated that that is not now needed, or at least not needed every day. And as a result, the court will order that the plaintiff can pick up the child at 3:50 until she gets out of work. Not an hour early, 2 hours early, whenever he decides to, but whenever school is out until she gets out of work. And if she's not working on those particular days, or she gets out and is able to take the child, then she has the child from the time she gets out of work. Court will note if she's done and manipulated this in any way that's intentional, the court will consider that in the factor of the willingness of the parties to facilitate a relationship with the other party. But if it simply is a matter of her schedule, the court's not going to, again, hold that against her. But the court will address those matters at the trial set for March 14th. The court would note that, again, the child getting out of school, that's the regular school. It doesn't include the time in this after-school program, this 21st century program. If we were to do that, the parent could load the kid up with any number of programs they want. And in fact, that would eliminate or obviate the other parent from having time. That's not the intention either. And likewise with the reference to the snow days, if there are snow days and the kid's not in school, mom's working, then he would get that child until such time as she's out of work. So that would be the clarification and intention in this matter. Otherwise, the court will deny the motion other than as stated. I guess, Ms. Storm, it's your motion. I'll let you make those clarifications and submit that under a 7-day notice of entry.
I will, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Court will end this matter. You're free to go. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Good morning. Is your client with you, Rhonda?
Yeah, she should be pulling in any minute. She had a little bit of a delay, so she was just getting off the exit in Coldwater about 5 minutes ago. So she should be here any second.
Well, we're not gonna wait for her, Ms. I, so we're gonna proceed. We're already starting late.
Okay,
Okay.
I had a couple pretrial issues that I want.
Yep, we'll address those.
Oh,
This will
okay.
go on the record.
All right, give me one moment here to officially call the record. One moment. The 37th Circuit Court is now in session with the Honorable Ann K. Kirkland presiding. It is Thursday, March 14, 2024 at 8:35 a.m. And this is for case 2023-1344 DC, Porter Ward versus Danielle Newbern, Attorney Storm for plaintiff and Attorney Ives for defendants.
Again, good morning to everyone. This is the time and place set for the trial in this matter, the matter having been set for trial previously and being adjourned. I'll ask Ms. Storm, you ready to proceed today?
I am, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Ives?
Yes, Your Honor, we are ready to proceed today.
Okay. Ms. Ives, I note as a preliminary matter, you had filed an objection to the plaintiff's exhibits, and you stated that there was some preliminary matter. Is that the one you were referencing? Or was there something else?
Well, yes, Your Honor, I had filed an objection to the entry of exhibits. I received I don't know, it's approximately a 200-page plus binder on Friday, March 8th of exhibits. And on November 3rd, I understand on November 13th, exhibits were due. And on November 13th, just to give a brief history for the record.
You don't have to, Ms. Ives. I'm well aware of that. I will address that. I've reviewed the file. And so I have all the disclosures and everything else that was filed back then. Just
Okay,
make your
thank you.
argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would just indicate that on November 13th, I believe that that's the date and time that witness exhibits and not only was the witness list and exhibits due, but actual copies of those exhibits were to be exchanged between the parties. On that date, I attempted, after the pretrial conference on November 13th, I reached out to Ms. Storm and told her, did you realize the exhibits must be exchanged today? And she said no, and we looked, and sure enough, they were due that day. I said I would agree to extend that, but then upon calling the court to see when that new deadline would be, the court was informed by your staff that there would be no extension and to follow the scheduling order. And so I reached back out to Attorney Storm and I told her that we've got to follow the scheduling order. We cannot stipulate. And so then it was in the afternoon. I talked to my client. I put together what I thought were the limited exhibits. There was a total of, I believe, 7 of them. I attached them to my exhibit list, all 7. They're one or 2 page exhibits. And I had emailed them and shared them with Ms. Storm. On that day, I did receive a witness and exhibit list from Ms. Storm, but I did not receive any exhibits whatsoever. And then on the 8th, Friday, March 8th, I received approximately 200 plus pages of exhibits. I was at a conference, so I really didn't get them until Monday morning, but I was rather shocked that opposing counsel would deliver such exhibits less than a week in front of trial. So I believe that they should not be entered. I don't believe it's fair to allow those to be entered at this time, given the scheduling order.
I do understand that your trial notice said that judges' copies should be delivered 7 days prior to trial. If the court was going to even allow that as it doesn't say share with opposing counsel, because we should have shared back in November. I do not believe that there's a good reason for the delay in bringing the exhibits to the court and opposing counsel 6 days before the hearing.
Okay,
And
thank
we
you.
ask that those that be entered. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Ms. Storm, what's your response?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Ives is right that we did have that conversation on November 13th after our pre-trial and after we got off the phone and found that we weren't able to get the extension. I was able to get with my client and cobble together some of the exhibits. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 exhibits that were saved on a USB drive and sent to both Ms. Ives and the court on that same day. I have a letter in my file that indicates that the exhibits were delivered to Ms. Ives, sent on the 13th, and through via a USB drive, and that same went to the court that day. Additionally, due to the need to adjourn and reschedule, some of which was due to Ms. Ives' schedule, I felt it was necessary to supplement and amend the exhibits because there had been a significant passage of time since November 13th to now. The exhibits that I delivered to the court and to Ms. Ives on the 8th include those original exhibits and updated those regarding the information that we did not have at that time, just text messages that had occurred between parties since then. And some other records. I do believe that they are important, and some of the exhibits that I have exchanged are also partial exhibits that Ms. Ives had sent to me as well. However, my exhibits show a fuller picture of conversation between the parties, gives more context for those conversations that she submitted. So we did accept, provide these to Ms. Ives and the court on the 13th, and I apologize for not getting them to the court or Ms. Ives sooner than the 8th. There have been some changes as that I'm no longer at my old office. That happened in the end of January of 2024, and I no longer have access to my digital files from that case. So I'm left with just what I had in my paper files, show me what had been sent and going on. And I do believe that it's important, Your Honor. So I would ask that the court consider the exhibits that I have prepared, so that the court can have the best picture of what is going on with the parties.
Okay, thank you. Well, I have no doubt that they are important. I don't need anything, Ms. Ives. I have no doubt they are important. But the court will go back to the case scheduling order, which was entered on August 7, 2023, a substantial amount of months ago. In this matter, the court notes that that case scheduling order, if we look at the paragraph specifically delineated and discussing the exhibits and the witnesses, court will note it says, and I quote, each attorney / party shall provide the other party with and the court with the names and addresses of witnesses the party intends to call at trial and paper copies of all exhibits to be introduced at trial no later than 21 days after the first mediation date. Failure to comply will bar the introduction of testimony or evidence at trial unless good cause is shown for the non-compliance. The court will note in this matter that both parties, Ms. Ives and Ms. Storm, have filed and did file witness list on November 13, 2023, which is the deadline for the witnesses and the exhibits. The Storm did file, apparently, as she says, a flash drive or something with exhibits. Did you get that flash drive, Ms. Ives?
No, Your Honor, no flash drive was ever provided to my office, nor were any of the exhibits emailed or in any way. We never received any exhibit. The first time I'm receiving any of these exhibits was Monday morning of this week when after they were delivered on Friday.
Okay. I think the court notes, I don't have any flash drive of exhibits either in this matter, so I don't know what happened to that. But again, the court will note that the case scheduling order is very clear in this matter as to the disclosure. And the court will note pursuant to Michigan Court Rule 2.401, parens B, parens 2, parens A, parens II, the court has the authority to establish time for events and adopt other procedures the court deems appropriate in this matter. And court will note pursuant to Duray Development LLC versus Parent at 288 Mishap 143, a 2010 case, that the Court of Appeals has stated that when the party violates a scheduling order, it is within the court's discretion to impose a sanction on that party. In this particular matter, again, the case scheduling order is very clear. It was not complied with. The court will bar the introduction of Ms. Storm's exhibits in this particular matter. So with that, Ms. Storm, are you ready to proceed?
I am.
And Ms. Ives?
Yes, Your Honor. Just as a preliminary matter too, because when we were at the last pretrial conference, and just to save the court time and litigation time today, I'm still unclear if custody is actually at issue, because I felt when we were at the pretrial conference that the parties agreed to joint physical custody. But the issue that is at hand is really parenting time, how that's going to unravel, and also the issue of where the minor child is going to continue through school, because the child is enrolled in 2 separate schools right now for kindergarten. So I just trying to streamline the issues for the court today. I thought I would bring that up. So because if this is actually a custody, if custody, both legal and physical, has been resolved, it'll save a lot of time and the kinds of questions and the amount of questioning that we go into.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Storm, what are your thoughts concerning this?
We were not under the impression that custody, legal or physical, was resolved.
Okay. Well, I would note, looking back at the case scheduling order, it does say that custody, support, parenting time, and school issues are in dispute. So as a result, we'll proceed. Unfortunately, you weren't able to get that resolved, Ms. Ives, before today's trial. So the court's going to address all the issues that the case scheduling order says are in dispute. So.
Okay, very well.
With that, Ms. Storm, do you wish to make an opening statement or waive your opening statement?
I'd like to reserve on an opening statement, Your Honor.
Okay. Ms. Ives, do you wish to make an opening statement, reserve your opening statement, or waive your opening statement?
Your Honor, I'll reserve as well.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Storm, you can proceed with your witnesses.
Your Honor, I believe that Ms. Ives and I spoke yesterday about taking some of our witnesses out of order, as some of the witnesses on our list did overlap, and in the interest of keeping some of the professionals' days quick and taken care of, we did agree to take some of the witnesses out of order.
Is that accurate, Ms.
Was
Ives?
it Ms. Hosek?
Yes, Your Honor, and I believe Ms. Hosek, she was going to log in right at 8:30 this morning, so she could be ready to testify. She was on both of our witness lists.
What's the name again?
What was the name?
Martha Hosek.
Hosek.
I do see that person.
Okay.
I'm bringing her in. Please unmute, ma'am.
Ma'am, could you adjust your camera so we can see your face too? Ms. Hosek, would you adjust your camera, please? Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Ms. Hosak, we're going to take some testimony from you. So if you would, we'll have you raise your right hand and be sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Go ahead, Ms. Storm.
Could you please state your name for the record?
Martha Hosek,
Okay, and how are you employed?
secretary,
And where are you a secretary?
Battle Creek Public Schools,
Okay, at which school specifically
Dudley
do you work
Elementary.
at? Okay, and how long have you been the secretary at Dudley Elementary?
4 years.
Okay, are you familiar with either of the parties, Mr. Porter Ward or Ms. Danielle Newbern?
Yes,
Which one or both are you familiar with?
I know both of them.
Okay, and are you familiar with their son, Demetrius?
Yes,
Okay, and have you been able to have contact with both Ms. Newbern and Mr. Ward?
yes,
Okay. Do you remember my client attending the kindergarten open house for this last year, this current school year?
yes,
Okay. At that time, do you remember having him ask you a question regarding records as far as who was listed on those records for Demetrius?
I only knew about the open house yesterday. I didn't know they were here for the open house. I'm not part of that group.
Okay, so you don't remember speaking with Mr. Ward
Not on open house
the
day,
kindergarten
no.
open house?
Oh, hold on one second, Ms. Hosak. You appear to be, sometimes there's a delay on the videos and you're jumping over, Ms. Storm. So you're starting to answer before she's done with the question. So
Okay,
please just give it a moment, then we can get the answer.
Have you had the opportunity to review the paperwork for Demetrius at Dudley Elementary?
yes,
Okay. Do you know whether my client is listed on the student's information paperwork?
yes,
Okay. Do you know whether he was listed as a parent or as something else on that paperwork?
he's listed as a parent now.
Okay. You say he's listed as a parent now. Was there a time he wasn't listed as a parent?
When they first came in to pick up, I only saw mom's name as a reference to pick up early.
Okay. Was he listed as a person to call in case of an emergency?
I don't know. I didn't look at the screen at that time.
Okay. Do you know whether he's listed as emergency contact now?
Yes, he is.
Okay. Do you know what position he has on the list of emergency contacts? Is he first, second?
Right at this moment, no, I'd have to recheck. He's
Okay.
first or second.
Okay. And was this information updated after Mr. Ward came into the school?
Correct, yes.
Okay. So the information wasn't current or accurate before he updated it?
Not on my side.
Okay. And when you say not on your side, what does that mean?
It was not in Skyward. That's my tool that I use.
Okay. And Skyward is a program that you use to keep track of the student information?
Correct.
Okay. And the interaction with Mr. Ward, has it been appropriate?
Always.
Okay. And has he tried to be involved in Dudley to, as far as involved in regards to his son's education at Dudley?
As far as I know, yes.
Okay. I have no further questions for this witness.
Okay. Ms. Ives?
Thank you. Ms. Hosek, are you privy to the information of who provides the initial information when a child is enrolled
in school at Dudley?
No,
So at the time, Demetrius was enrolled in school, you would not have any idea, whose name was put on the enrollment form, correct?
correct.
So if mom put, Demetrius's name on the enrollment form, that necessarily wouldn't have anything to do with what you see on Skyward, correct?
Not quite sure how to answer that. Eventually it rolls over there. Enrollment is an electronic process that a parent does, and that information is supposed to roll into Skyward, but I have no way of knowing if that information is correct or not.
Okay. But you're not part of that enrollment process?
No,
All right. Can you tell me what time does school start at Dudley?
8:50 a.m.
And, does Demetrius arrive on time for school?
As far as I know, I only see students that are late, and he's not one of my late students.
Okay, why don't, tell me what the process is for a student arriving late or a student arriving early?
So students are not allowed to arrive early. Well, they can arrive 5 minutes early. Our building is designed where every classroom has its own entrance and exit door. So each classroom, the student goes directly into where the teacher is in their classroom. So I only see them if they've arrived 10 minutes late, which is by 9 o'clock, they have to come through the front door. And then that's when I'm aware of whether they're late or not.
Okay, and is Demetrius typically on time
Yeah, he's not a late
for
student.
school?
Correct.
And what about when a student leaves, school early? Can you tell me the process for that?
So the parent will be buzzed into the building by me. I ask them the student that they're going for. I reach out to that teacher and let them know that a parent is here to pick up. They send the student down while the parent is signing them out, and then they leave the building.
And what time does school end at Dudley Elementary?
It's 3:50, except for Wednesdays when it's early release at 3 p.m.
And, does Demetrius, is he signed out of school early?
On Wednesdays and Thursdays, typically. It's every other week.
Okay. Okay, and well, tell me who signs him out early?
It's usually dad.
Okay, and do you know what time frames Dad typically will remove him from school?
I'm going to grab my paper.
And just, and if I may, Your Honor, if the witness would like to refresh, you can't read from the paper, but I would indicate if the witness would like to refresh her memory by looking at the paper, and then you'll have to set it down, okay?
Oh, okay.
You can refresh your memory, ma'am.
Okay, I'm looking at a whole bunch of dates, so I'll do my best.
Okay.
So, typically then on, the days that he's picked up early, can you tell me what time Dad removes him from school?
If it's the early release Wednesdays, it's typically around 2:30, 2:40, 2:45. And if it's the normal end of the day, it's about 3:30-ish.
Okay, and so, and you said school ends typically around 3:50 p.m. on Monday,
Correct.
Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
That is correct.
And there are times on Mondays as well when Dad will appear and remove Demetrius from school early as well, correct?
Correct. There were a few instances of that.
All right, do other children leave school early like this?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so is this typical that Dad, removes Demetrius early then? Is this like like, do you see him every week doing this?
We were told at the very beginning of the year that we share custody with another school, and this would be a weekly occurrence.
All right, and what do you know about, him being enrolled in another school?
Just that he's enrolled at another school, and we had to ask special permission for that to happen.
Okay. And what days does Demetrius attend school at Dudley?
He's Monday through Wednesday and
What
then
days of the
next
week?
Monday through Wednesday, and then the other week is Monday through Thursday.
All right. So he's not in school at Dudley on Fridays at all, correct?
Correct.
And he's only in school every other Thursday at Dudley. Is that correct?
For the most part, yes.
And on top of that, Mr. Ward removes the child early from school, typically at least on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Is that correct?
Yes.
Hold on a second, Miss Ives. We lost Miss Storm.
Oh, the beauty of internet.
Yes.
Yes.
I know we're having some really awful weather down here, so I'm not sure if it's weather related. Thank you, sir. Do you have any opinion as whether or not the change in curriculum between the two schools has any effect on Demetrius?
No, I'm not involved.
I would
in that
object
part.
because I don't believe that she has the knowledge. She's a secretary and doesn't have she's not testified that she's in the classroom at all with Demetrius to be able to observe any of that.
Okay, well, what I'll do is I guess I'll reserve on that, Miss Ives, unless you can lay a foundation.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Hosek, are you aware of any behavioral problems that Demetrius has in school?
Not really.
Would you become aware if he did have any major disciplinary issues?
If he was sent repeatedly to the office, possibly.
And is he sent repeatedly to the office?
No, he's not one that I see.
Do you see mom staying, my clients, Danielle, do you see her being involved with the child on a regular basis?
I just know what the teachers tell me and all the parents are involved. I don't see any of that.
Okay. Do you know if Demetrius is involved in your 21st century program?
Only from what dad has told me.
Okay. So do you know anything about the school's 21st century program?
A little bit.
Okay. What is it that you know about the program?
It is a program that we offer an hour before school starts in the morning, and then it's runs 2.5 hours in the evening. The first focus is to help with homework. And then if there's certain things that the kids want more help with, like math or reading, they allot time for that because we do have teachers available in the afternoon to help strengthen any of the weaknesses that either the child says that they would like to work on, or if the parents have made comments. And then they also try to add in fun time with that, and they will bring in special speakers and events so that the kids, it's not 100% learning, but that's the first focus. And then they have a little bit of playtime after that.
Do you know if Demetrius is in the Dudley 21st century program?
I don't know who the students are in the program.
Okay. Another issue, do you know anything about the Bearcat Advantage program? And if you do, can you describe what that is?
I probably know about the same as the rest of you guys, just what I've heard in the news. It's a program that will give you 100% paid tuition if you are at the Battle Creek Public Schools from day one, starting in kindergarten. And then the amount that you get is tempered by how long you are with the school. I know that if you don't spend the last 4 years of high school, it doesn't count at all. But if you can get into all the way from kindergarten, then it's 100%, and you can go to any place in Michigan, and you can go to any of the NAACP universities countrywide, but that's about it.
Okay. And when you say
the child can attend, you mean you're talking about college after,
Well, correct.
okay. But you have, in order to obtain the benefit, you have to maintain enrollment in the Battle Creek Public School System. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
And does Dudley Elementary qualify for that college tuition program?
Yes, it does.
You had at the original start of school, you had testified earlier that Dad was present for the initial orientation, correct?
I found out he was yesterday. I didn't know. I don't remember because I
Okay.
wasn't really that involved with the open house.
Okay,
I worked behind the scenes. I didn't see the parents.
all right.
I
Do you
remember.
know if Mom was present for that orientation?
I only know what the teacher said, and she said all the parents were here.
Okay. I have no further questions for this witness.
Okay, Ms. Storm, anything else? Any redirect?
Was my client the only parent that would take Demetrius out of school early? Did Ms. Newbern or any of her proxies take him out of school early?
I believe Mom may have done it once and a grandparent maybe once.
Okay. Do you know what time they took Demetrius out of school those days?
Not without looking at paperwork. I was only aware of that when
Okay. Do you have
I
that?
was sick.
Okay. Do you have that paperwork in front of you that you were consulting earlier?
Yes.
Could you take a moment to take a look and consult?
So they were marked as an appointment at 2:15 and then went home sick at 2:34. And that was on February 12th. As far as I know, that's the first time he went home sick.
All right. And on the 13th, did Ms. Newbern or her mother take the child out of school early that day?
Am I still allowed to look at the sheet?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
You
I
said
just wanted to verify, was it the 12th or the 13th?
of February.
Yes.
So I have him going home sick on Monday, the 12th.
The 12th. Okay. Just wanted to verify that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you know whether the students get visits from let me retract that and rephrase. If somebody comes to the school to visit with the students for whatever reason, is that something that is reflected in the sign in and out sheet?
Not if they don't leave the lobby. No.
Okay. Do you know if there was a time when somebody came to the school to visit with Demetrius during the school year?
There was an uncle that came one day.
Okay. And do you remember the name of that uncle?
No.
Okay. Are you sure it was an actual uncle?
No, I have no way of proving whether it is or not. That's why I called the
Do you
parent.
remember anything about that visit? I'm sorry. Do you remember anything about that visit as far as how long it happened and approximately when?
I have no idea of the when. It was maybe 5 or 10 minutes. I just said that he had told Mom that he would swing by. I guess Demetrius had been asking for him to come every day, and he finally said he was in the neighborhood. So he swung in, and then I called and talked to Dad to see if it was okay because he was not listed as a contact.
Okay. So did you try to call Mom and talk with her first?
I think because it probably was the day of the week is probably why I called Dad, or if I did, maybe I didn't reach Mom. I don't remember. I don't know.
Okay. But you said you called Dad that day?
Yes, I got a hold of Dad.
Do you remember? Okay. And do you remember what Dad said to you that day?
I thought he'd asked some questions and I thought he had said that it was okay. So I allowed it. And then when he came to pick up that evening, he said he didn't say okay, and I didn't hear that.
Okay, so there was a miscommunication apparently between you and Mr. Ward regarding whether it was okay for the person to visit?
Correct.
Anything else, Ms. Storm?
No, I had no further questions for this witness. I'm sorry.
Okay. Ms. Ives, did you have any, the survey
Yeah,
direct?
just some recross, Your Honor. With regards to, the, early, sign out of Demetrius on those 2 days, were those the only days that, you observed Demetrius being taken out early by mom?
Yes,
And is it fair to say that each week, Mr. Ward signs Demetrius out of school early?
yes,
And in looking at your sheets, you would agree that sometimes he's signed out at least an hour or more before school lets out, correct?
I don't believe so.
Okay.
It's not
can
that.
you- Can you refresh your memory and look?
The only times I saw him coming early was Wednesday. That would be in the 2s. Otherwise, all my other times are after 3.
Okay. And what's the average time that he picks or leaves school early?
So if it's Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, it's around 3:30ish. That's more the average.
Okay,
So that's
And-
about
and
20
what-
minutes early.
okay. And then, and what time does school release again?
3:50. But Wednesdays is 3.
And is there ever a reason, that is identified of why dad picks, the child up early?
Sometimes. Some of it just says home, some of it says appointment, but not always.
Okay. So many times there's no reason. Sometimes the reason is home, and sometimes the reason is it says appointment.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, anything else, Ms. Storm?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hosick, that would conclude your testimony. Thank you for attending, and you're free to go. Have a good day.
Am I done? I don't need to come back at 2 p.m.?
You do not need to, no.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Next witness, Ms. Storm?
Thank you. I believe the next witness that Ms. Ives and I discussed was going to be Ms. Ronise Irwin.
I don't. What was the name again? I'm sorry.
Ronise Irwin.
No, I have a Lindsay Potter and a Bobby Van Wormer. Is that-
I believe Van Warmer was another one that we had talked about taking early.
So do I bring this
Yep.
one in?
You want us to bring in Mr. Van Wormer?
Yes, that'd be fine.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Please unmute, ma'am.
Ms. Van Wormer, we're going to take some testimony from you. So if you would, raise your right hand. We'll have you sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Storm, you can proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Van Warmer, can you please state your name for the record?
Bobby Van Warmer.
And how are you employed?
I am a kindergarten teacher at Dudley Elementary School for Battle Creek Public Schools.
Okay. And are you the kindergarten teacher for Demetrius?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And how long have you been a kindergarten teacher?
This is my first year in kindergarten.
Okay. What did you teach prior to kindergarten?
First grade mostly, but I have also taught second and third grade.
Okay. And I'll launch right into asking, have there been any behavioral issues with Demetrius in your classroom?
Demetrius tends to have a hard time sitting still. He moves around the classroom during instruction time. So often climbing on the benches we have in the room or the bookshelf that are attached to the wall. Nothing dangerous. He will lay on his chair and under his chair during instruction time.
Okay. Have you attempted to discuss these behavioral issues with either of the parents?
With both of them, yes.
Okay. And do you remember when you might have tried to address this with my client, Mr. Porter? Or excuse me, Mr. Ward?
For the first time,
First time or any time at this point would be fine.
the most recent time was conferences. I believe that was last week.
All
I'd
right.
have
And
to,
so parent, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
nope, I would have to check maybe my calendar, or we use a Remind app to know of other times if you
That's
needed
okay.
specifics. Okay.
So how do you communicate with the parents when there are issues about behavior?
Generally, I send a message through our Remind app to both parents.
Okay. And you said there's a Remind app. Can you just briefly explain what that is?
It's just a text messaging app that allows only parents and of families that we have in the classroom. They can't belong to the messaging app unless the teachers approve it.
Bring this up with my client. Did he have a response for you about the behavior issues?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? You were cutting out.
I'm sorry. When you spoke to Mr. Ward regarding the behavioral issues, did he have a response for you?
Just that he would speak with Demetrius and, re-ascertain how important it is to pay attention during directions.
Okay. Did he give any sort of indication that this was something that he struggled with at home?
Both parents have mentioned that sometimes there were issues at home with this.
Okay. And does Demetrius have a little necklace that he uses at times in class?
Yes, he chews on it. When he does start swinging it, I have to take it away from him because it becomes dangerous.
Okay. And so, do you know what the purpose of that necklace is supposed to be?
As far as I know, it's for him to chew on.
Okay. Is that supposed to be like a sensory tool to help him?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Do you know whether mom or dad got that for him?
I'm not positive who it was. I
Okay.
think mom, but I don't know.
That's okay. And the necklace, you said there are times you've had to take it away from him in class?
Yes, because he'll swing it around instead of just leaving it on
Oh,
his neck and using it for its intended purpose.
okay. How often would you say you've had to take it away from him?
Probably every time he's had it.
Okay. And so is that something he wears every day or often?
No, he had it when it was first brought to class. He had it 2 or 3 days maybe. And then I did text home that there was some issues with it, that he was, using it that way. And I didn't want him to get hit with it or anybody else. And then it didn't come back. And then he had it yesterday, I think.
Okay. And the the times that you've seen him with it, have you observed any sort of benefit that it's given him? Have you seen an improvement in focus or anything going on during those times that he is using it?
No, I've actually never seen him chew on it either.
Okay. Um, was Demetrius at school yesterday?
He went home sick from our morning care program. I guess he threw up.
Okay. Do you know whether he was picked up by mom or dad that day?
I don't because that happened before I was actually at school.
Okay, so you don't know exactly why he was sent home that yesterday?
I'm just saying the secretary told me he went home because he threw up. So I would know
Okay.
for my attendance purposes.
Okay. But other than that, you wouldn't have any other further insight on.
Not for yesterday, no.
Okay. And are you familiar with the 21st Century Program at Dudley?
I know we have it and there's a morning and after school part. I don't know all the details.
Okay. So you don't have any firsthand knowledge of Demetrius in that program?
No, I do not.
Do you ever have homework that you send with Demetrius to that program potentially?
Yes, we send homework home on Mondays. That's due back on Friday.
And does Demetrius complete his homework and turn that in?
Yes, he does.
And do you know whether mom or dad or both are helping him with his homework to get it done?
I do not know.
Okay. Have there been any incidents of fighting with Demetrius in school?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Yes. Have there been any incidents where Demetrius has been in trouble for fighting while at school?
No, not to my knowledge.
So not in your classroom?
No.
Okay. I believe that's all the questions I have for this witness at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Ives?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Ms. Van Wormer.
Good morning.
Demetrius is in your kindergarten class, is that correct?
Yes.
From the start of school, were you aware that, or did you have information for both the mom and the dad on your school enrollment or whatever records that you keep?
I don't know about the school enrollment, like the office papers, but I have had contact with both parents through the Remind app since the beginning of school. And dad also has my cell phone number and texts me through that.
Okay, so both parents have been engaged with you since before the start of school?
Yes.
And did you hold a orientation before the start of school?
We have an open house before the first day.
Okay, and when would that have been in? Or when would
Um,
that have?
August, I don't remember the exact date. It was 1 or 2 days before the start of school. So August, like 23rd, maybe ish.
Okay, did both parents attend that open house?
Yes. Demetrius's mom came with him at one point during that night. And then his dad and stepmom came at another point.
Okay, and at that time, were you aware that Demetrius was being enrolled in 2 schools?
At that time, no, I was not.
Okay, and so at the start of school, can you tell me what you do know about Demetrius's enrollment?
At the very beginning of school, I thought he was just attending Dudley.
Okay, and then later on, what happened?
Maybe a month or less later, I found out he was attending 2 schools. And that was that. I just found out.
Okay, and what does attending 2 schools mean? What is your understanding of it?
My understanding is Demetrius attends Dudley Monday through Wednesday and every other Thursday. And then he attends Montessori every other Thursday and Fridays.
And then let me ask you a few questions about how Demetrius is doing in your classroom regarding education. How does he do grade wise?
He does really well. He's a very smart kid. He excels in math. He does it very quickly, and I try to challenge him with that. And then reading, he's doing very well with. He knows, all of his letters and sounds, and he's putting words together and reading kindergarten stories.
Do you know what grade level he's reading at?
I would have to look that up.
Okay, do you have those records with you?
I can look it up online real quick, if that's allowed.
Could you refresh your memory and let us know?
Yes, ma'am, you
Yes.
can look that up.
Okay, give me just a second.
Just let us know when you're ready and you've finished looking.
Okay, thank you. It's just a lot of buttons to click to find the right report that shows me that. Okay, they give teachers a lot of different numbers. But he is reading at or above grade level. If you need more specifics, I'll have to look a little deeper into the report.
That's okay. So you said you challenged him in math. Generally, what does that mean?
So currently we're doing addition and subtraction 1 through 10 for kindergarten. If he's doing the same exact problems as the other kids, I'll set a timer for him. So he's working on his fluency, his mental math, which they don't start working on until first grade. Or I will give him bigger addition and subtraction problems with teen numbers instead of just 1 through 10.
And how is he doing on other subjects in your classroom?
So our main focus is math and reading throughout the day. We also have science and writing. He actually loves writing. He does very well with that. He's a good reader and a good speller. So he does very well. We're working on 3-part stories, and he's writing 3 parts of a story. As far as science, he often misses science because it's last in the day. And when he gets picked up early, he'd miss some of that science lessons.
And let's talk about getting picked up early in the day. How frequently is Demetrius picked up in the day on the days that he's in school?
I don't have exact numbers because that's all taken care of at the office. But it was very frequently the last month and a half, he hasn't left early at all.
Okay. And were you aware that the court had instructed that the child not be taken out of school early?
I was not aware.
Okay. Um, did you hold a parent-teacher conference this year since the start of school?
Yes, we've had 2.
And were both parents at that parent-teacher conference?
Yes.
Does Danielle come by herself or with anybody?
No, she comes by herself.
And what about Mr. Ward? Does he come by himself or with anybody?
Usually Demetrius' stepmom attends.
Okay, what is her name, please?
I think
If
it's
you don't-
Alicia. I
I'm
think it's
sorry?
Alicia. Alicia?
Okay. Um, and at some point, have you ever tried to reach out to the Montessori school for any reason?
I did. I was looking for some ways to help Demetrius function a little better in the classroom and get a better understanding of how they teach over there.
Okay. And were you able to make contact with his teacher there at all?
I was not. I left a message.
And did anyone try to call you back?
Not to my knowledge.
And did this come up at all on one of your parent-teacher conferences?
It did. Mr. Ward expressed a concern that I didn't contact him first before contacting the school.
Why do you think he was up? Did he explain why he was upset at that?
He just thought I should, from my knowledge, he just thought I should have contacted him first.
All right. Do you see that there is any issue, or I guess not issue, but does it affect Demetrius? Does it affect his curriculum and the fact that he's enrolled in 2 different schools?
I think learning the 2 different ways of of teaching can be difficult because Montessori schools are really different from public schools.
Okay, I mean, and how do you know that?
Just from Googling, just from looking
Okay.
up what Montessori schools are, and it's more of an open-ended format where the kids direct their learning.
And I take it, you mean the kids direct their learning in a Montessori setting as opposed to you directing their learning in the classroom?
Yes,
Do you believe that Demetrius would excel even more if he was in one standardized school setting?
I think he would excel more if he was in one
I would
place.
object at this point because she's not been qualified as an expert to give her opinion as to whether or not Demetrius would do better in one environment over the other or the consistency thereof.
Court will sustain the objection.
You had indicated that you had addressed some discipline issues when responding earlier. Did you ever address these same discipline issues with the mother?
I've addressed every issue with Demetrius with both parents for the entire year.
Do you get cooperation from each parent?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And back to the parent-teacher conferences, did both parents attend those teacher conferences?
Yes,
Does mom ask the appropriate questions on what she can do to better assist Demetrius?
yes,
Okay. Does the father ask the same type of questions of how he can help?
yes.
Um, and Demetrius, when he's taken out of school early, can you tell me what time, is kind of the average time you see him being removed from school weekly?
Between 2:30 and 3.
Okay, and, do you see that on a weekly basis?
Except for the last month and a half, yes.
All right, and, what about timeliness to school? Does Demetrius arrive to school on time?
Yes, he's part of the morning program and he comes in with that group of kids at start time,
Do you know what time that starts?
8:45. Oh, the morning program? I
Yeah.
believe it's 7:40,
And what time does your classroom start?
8:45.
And is he always on time for your classroom?
Yes,
If you know, do you know who brings him to school each morning?
I don't know.
Um, does Demetrius miss a lot of school?
No, he does not.
Okay. So he has, good attendance?
Except for the days where he attends Montessori school, yes.
Hold on. A quick question about, the Bearcat Advantage program. Are you familiar with that?
I am, yes.
Can you get a brief synopsis? Can you tell us what it is?
From my understanding, if you attend Battle Creek Public Schools from kindergarten through 12th grade, you will get 100% paid for tuition to certain colleges.
Is Dudley Elementary part of that system?
Yes, it is.
And by being enrolled in kindergarten, would Demetrius qualify for that if he continued his matriculation through high school?
As far as I know, yes.
And if you know, is the Montessori school part of that program?
I don't believe it is, no.
With regards to Demetrius's homework, is his homework always turned in?
Yes, it is.
And I understand that homework is usually due on Friday, but he's not there on Friday, correct?
Yes.
So how does that homework get turned in?
He either completes it and turns it in early, or he'll bring it on Monday.
Okay, and you allow him to turn it in late on Monday without penalty?
Yes, I allow all students to do that.
Okay. And he always turns in his homework, each week?
Yes, he does.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Ms. Storm, any redirect?
When you called to contact Montessori, do you remember approximately when you did that? An exact date's not necessary, but approximately when you did that?
It was probably about a month ago.
Okay. And do you remember who you called?
I spoke to whoever answered the phone. I was assuming the secretary.
Okay. So you left a message with the secretary at Montessori?
Yes,
Okay. And you don't know whether or not that secretary then transferred and gave that message to the teacher, correct?
I do not know.
Okay. Did Demetrius go home? Was Demetrius in school yesterday?
The secretary at our school let me know that he threw up in the morning program and went home
Okay.
early. So I did not see him at all yesterday.
Okay. And do you know if part of his behavioral issues, whether he has gotten into any fights with another child, like on the playground or something?
I know there was an altercation, like, one of the parents contacted me and said Demetrius came home and said something happened. And when I looked into it, the playground aide said that it was nothing and it was all taken care of.
Okay. And you don't have any further direct knowledge about that topic?
I don't, because I'm not on the playground when at recess.
Okay. Um, did you have a conversation with Porter about Demetrius's behavior that might have escalated?
Meaning what exactly?
That you might have raised your voice at Mr. Porter or communicated with him frustrations regarding Demetrius's behavior?
If my voice was raised, it was completely unintentional. If this is in reference to the pickup line, I was probably just rushed, trying to get kids, kindergartners away from the road.
Okay. Did you ever try to talk to my client about getting in contact with Montessori school as far as the specific teacher or anyone else that might be able to answer the questions you were looking for?
I did not. I looked at it as we share a student. I'm just talking to another teacher. I honestly didn't think about contacting the parent.
Okay. Um, so you say Demetrius is doing well in all the areas of school, correct? His reading, his writing, his math, and even science, even though he's not always there.
Well, science he misses, so I don't have enough work to give him a good grade in science, but the rest of it he is excelling at, yes.
Okay. Um, how long do you guys spend on science each day?
30 to 40 minutes.
Okay. Um, are there any signs that Demetrius is struggling in your classroom?
Just with paying attention.
All right, I have no further questions for this witness. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Ives, any redirect or recross?
Thank you. Ms. Van River, other than, the difficulty paying attention part, do you have any other disciplinary problems with Demetrius in your classroom?
No,
So he's not one to pick fights or, do other types of just bad behavior that would upset your classroom?
No, he's a very respectful young man.
And the attention piece, I mean, do you just in your experience and your knowledge, do you see how are there ways to assist that?
There are, yes.
And have you told the parents or given them any indication of how they can help?
I have indicated that if they also have a concern with it, that they should speak to their pediatrician.
Okay. Is there some concerns that he might have some attention deficit going on potentially?
His mom has mentioned that there might be something like that going on, and I know the stepmom has also mentioned that.
Okay. Do you know if he's actually been tested for it, if you know?
I don't know.
Okay. Um, as far as, well, no, I don't think I have any further questions.
That's it, Ms. Ives? I didn't hear that.
Yes, Your Honor, that will be it, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, Ms. Van Wormer, thank you for your testimony. You're excused. You have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
Who do we have now, Wade?
I have a Lindsay Potter.
We have a Lindsay Potter on the, that's waiting, and that's the only witness that we have in waiting.
Okay,
Next then.
okay.
Bring her in.
Well, Ms. Storm, is that, you want Ms.
Yes,
Potter to?
Okay,
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, great.
okay, here she comes. Please unmute, Ms. Potter.
Good morning.
Good morning, Ms. Potter. We're going to take some testimony from you, so if you would raise your right hand, we'll have you sworn in, then we'll proceed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Ms. Storm, you can proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Potter, could you please state your name for the record?
I am Lindsay Potter.
And how are you employed?
I am the owner and director of Bright Light Early Care and Education.
Okay. And how long have you been in that position?
We opened in 2022 and I have been here ever since. I was the owner prior to our opening.
Wonderful. Okay. And are you familiar with the parties, Mr. Porter Ward, Ms. Danielle Newburn, and their child Demetrius?
I am.
And how do you know them?
Danielle enrolled Demetrius in March of 2022 after a tour of our center, and he attended childcare here with a small break until May of 2024. In that time, Porter was a regular active parent at pickup and drop off.
And at those pickup and drop offs, was there any behavioral issues at either pickups or drop offs by my client? Was he appropriate during those pickups and drop offs?
Porter was present or had a delegated present person to pick up and drop off that was acknowledged on the pickup and drop off sheets. In those instances, Demetrius was transitioned from childcare to parental care in a common way.
Okay, so there were no issues during pickups or drop-offs with Mr. Porter Ward during those times? You said it's in the normal way, the common way that the pickups usually go, so no incidents?
None that I recall. I know that Porter was always very concerned about the well-being of Demetrius's body. And so we would spend some moments going over any injuries to him, scratches or bruises from the day, bumping into a table, things like that. I was the director in that role. Kaylee was the teacher, and so it depended on who was present, kind of who did that interaction. There were some frustration moments when Demetrius would have a mark upon his body or paperwork to be documented in our communication software or in person. But I don't remember any events.
Okay. And what sort of injuries are you talking about?
Crashing a bike on the playground, running into a shelf, having an altercation with a large block with another classmate. Most of them were skin abrasions or bruises.
Did any of those require medical attention that you're aware of?
I am not aware of any medical attention that was provided.
Okay.
All
Were
of them were
Band-Aids
like washed and iced and cleaned in classroom.
Okay, that was going to be my next question, was appropriate Band-Aids given out if required at that
Yes.
time? Okay,
Yes.
but nothing that rose to the level of needing to be taken to a doctor or hospital from the daycare?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay. And were you acquainted with either of the individuals prior to Demetrius's enrollment in your daycare?
I was not.
Okay. On the days that you were there, were you able to observe Porter or his designee pick up Demetrius from daycare?
Yes.
How often would you say you observed that?
I think that for the sake of the record, it changed over time because he was here from March until June, early July of 2022, and then re-enrolled in a different programming type in August and September of 2022 until May of 2023. The pickup and drop off routine was different in those seasons because Demetrius's attendance and routine was different in those seasons. Most of the time, I would say that Porter and his designees were responsible for pickup half of the week. Drop off was a little more difficult to track, but both entities were responsible for dropping off as well.
Okay. And was that program that Demetrius was in, was that a program that offered him free enrollment?
Correct. It was considered the Great Start Readiness Program in the state of Michigan and was a free tuition program to families who were age eligible and conditional eligible.
All right. And at some point, did Demetrius age or age out, or conditions change that would make it so that he was no longer eligible for the free program?
In May, the program year is considered complete by the state of Michigan funding guidelines. And so because he was 4-year-old, year was September of 22 to May of 23, that he was considered complete in May of 23. The funding guidelines in the state of Michigan transition them to a public school calendar year. And the summer is the summer, and then they move from a pre-kindergarten year into a kindergarten year according to the state guidelines.
Okay, so in approximately May of 2022, was it that you said that?
23.
23. Okay, so in May of 2023 is when that program changed?
Correct.
Okay, and at that time, what was the cost for him to attend?
The cost for him to attend after May would have been $215 a week.
Okay, and
For
how many
full-time care.
days for full-time care? So that would be Monday through Friday?
Yes.
Okay, that was my next question. Did you try to inform both Mr. Ward and Danielle about this free period ending and the need to switch to weekly pay?
Yes.
Okay, and how did both of them, were you able to get a hold of my client?
Yes.
Okay, were you able to get a hold of Ms. Newbern?
Yes.
Did payments come for those weeks after contacting and talking with them?
I honestly do not recall right now what his final date of enrollment was. I could look it up if the court desires. I do not remember.
That's okay. Um, regarding, I'm assuming you have paperwork that lists the emergency contacts and parents and that sort of information for each child.
Correct.
And for Demetrius, who completed that paperwork?
That paperwork is generally completed by the person who enrolls and then gives authorization to the other entities, secondary parents, as well as any emergency or authorized contacts. In this case, that
Okay.
was Danielle.
Okay, so Danielle was the one who enrolled and completed the paperwork for Bright Light, excuse me.
Correct.
And at that time, or at any point while Demetrius was there, was Porter listed on that paperwork?
He was.
Okay, was there a time where he was removed from that paperwork?
Yes.
And do you know who removed him?
Danielle.
Do you know why she removed him?
She reported that the conditions had changed and she needed him to be removed. So she did so.
After that, did you continue to have any contact with Porter?
He had requested a meeting. We did end up having a meeting.
And how did that meeting go?
That meeting started as Porter's general interest in Demetrius's well-being. Alicia also attended. The three of us discussed Demetrius's growth throughout the calendar year, as well as their frustration to being removed from the access to pick up an authorized entity. We had a heated discussion regarding if I had authority to do that. And I explained that I did not do that. It was the authorized primary caregiver that was on our paperwork, Danielle. So I had requested that they move forward with Danielle or work forward to find a solution, that all I can do is respond to the paperwork on file.
Okay, so you weren't the one who made the decision. You were simply enforcing what was being communicated to you?
Correct.
Okay. And so at that time, was Porter's access to the records terminated and he wasn't able to have access any longer?
That is true because of the way the software works. Without access to that entity, there is no access to those records. However, I did email him an attendance report at some point. I'd have to look up the specific date regarding Demetrius's attendance throughout that calendar year. He still had access to me, just not access to the software system.
Okay. And at some point, did Porter get re-added to the document or to the paperwork or permissions?
I am unsure of that answer. I again would have to seek that information. If it was re-added, it was re-added by Danielle.
Okay. And is it true that my client's concern stemmed from the child having marks and bruises that he wasn't aware of, but the child would come home displaying?
That could have been true. There was also concern about access. I know it's during that period, Demetrius also was able to receive glasses, and that really decreased the marks and bruises. We had been very concerned about Demetrius's physical well-being, as he lacked control of his body and space, and he often had collisions with items. And so there was often concern about the well-being of Demetrius's body on many parties' behalf.
Okay. Did Danielle ever express the frustrations about the bruises and scrapes that Demetrius would have during childcare?
There was a heightened awareness at childcare about what bruises and scrapes happened in our care, because there was a heightened amount of accusation and possibly blame being placed on the safety of Demetrius in his variety of environments. So there was often the question at pickup of daycare or drop off of daycare, did he come with these and did he leave with these as a monitoring system?
Okay. Did Danielle also share in the concern of wanting to figure out whether the bruises were coming from daycare or elsewhere?
Yes.
Was there a time when the child came home with an actual swollen spot on the side of his head?
I do believe that he had an incident with a table that resulted in a swollen spot on his head.
Okay. And was that something that was communicated to either Danielle or Porter after that?
So what our policy is that all injuries to bodies go into the app. During that time, the app was a barrier for Porter, and we remedied that situation by making sure he had access to the app on his own account because he had been account sharing. And that streamlined the communication and notification behaviors between the daycare and Porter. On those days that he picked up, he had an awareness of injuries or illness coming into the center instead of being met with them at the door.
Okay. And you mentioned that Ms. Newbern had done a tour in March of 2022. Do you know who she did the tour with?
Myself.
Okay. And how did that tour go? What was discussed?
We generally do tours that talk about our services, balanced with our fees, the physical arrangement of the environment. Demetrius started in a 3.5-year-old classroom, which was next door to the 4-year-old classroom, where he finished. And so just really a visual tour, getting to know people, identifying spaces, how the sign in and sign out process and paperwork and services versus fees structure works.
Okay. Thank you. I have no further questions.
Okay, Ms. Storm, any, excuse me, Ms. Ives, any,
Yes, sir.
cross-examination?
When Demetrius was first enrolled in 2022, I understand at that time, both Miss Newborn and Mr. Ward were on the same contact format. Would that be correct?
Yes.
And they actually were on the same format until this last, would you say May, maybe May of 2023, at some point, the format changed, correct?
Yes, spring of 23 was tense, and then the format changed in May.
And then, so I understand that when Danielle removed Mr. Ward from the access on her account, it did not mean that he couldn't obtain other access. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So he could actually set up his own account and have the same access she did, just not using hers. Is that correct?
There's 2 layers. So one is his own ELV access, and that happened after the head injury that we spoke of. The other layer was when Danielle removed the authorized pickup. When that was removed, we did not have a way to put that back in without court documents or paperwork stating as such.
Okay, but there's a portal that Mr. Ward utilizes so that he can have his own access to information, correct?
Correct.
And did he actually set that up on his own or did he not?
He did utilize his own code and his own portal, to my knowledge.
Okay. And I understand, and let's just only talk about like the last 6 months, you know, that well, first of all, you had indicated that Demetrius stopped attending your program, correct?
There was a break in care, yes.
When did he stop attending your program? And if you need to refresh your memory and look at your record, please do so.
So in the summer of 2022 into the fall, Demetrius disenrolled for a time period that was associated with the finances of daycare. The cost was high and the free program was coming forward. And so that was a time that he took a long break. Let me verify the very last day that Demetrius was in our system. Demetrius's last day of care in our system was May 7th of 2023. Because of that, he did miss the graduation ceremonies of his 4-year-old preschool year.
Okay, now that was the early, the Great Start Collaborative piece, correct?
That is correct. That was from September of 2022 until May 15th of 2023.
And then did Demetrius also attend a daycare program as opposed to the learning center? Did he attend daycare after that?
He did not in our care.
And when Demetrius initially started there back in 2022, was he enrolled in any type of Great Start Collaborative?
He was enrolled in daycare then. So May of 22 until June of 22 was in that daycare program.
And at that time, was there a cost to the
Yes.
parents? And how much was the daycare program back then?
That was $215 per week, and he was full-time enrolled Monday through Friday.
And who paid the daycare cost during that time?
The ledger at that time was assigned to Danielle because the family was using one point of contact. The payments came through in Danielle's name. I would have to check that resource, which I am able to do if you would like, regarding if I can tell any more details than that.
Yes, please.
The information I have is that it was a credit card payment that ended in 6242 in Danielle's name from approximately a March 27th until until July 16th,
July 16th of what year?
2022.
And that's when he left for a short period of time?
Yes.
And then when he re-enrolled, that's when he qualified for the Great Start Collaborative funding through the state of Michigan?
That is correct. I also am looking on this ledger and realize I did misspeak. He was enrolled from May 15th until August 26th in Bright Lights Care in a daycare format. And that is the same payment card, 6242 as the last four.
I'm sorry, I need you to clarify the year. You said May 15th of what year?
2023.
Okay, so he was in fact enrolled from May 15th, 2023 through what date?
August 18th, 2023.
And during, and I want to talk specifically about this particular time through May through August. During that time, what days of the week was Demetrius at your learning center?
I believe that he was generally here part of the weeks of attendance. I will pull that report as well. For instance, in July, he was here, 8 of the days of the month of July. I believe at that time they were doing a revolving schedule. And so the days that Danielle was in his care, in his parenting time, he was present. And if my memory is serving me correctly, the days that Porter had him, he was not present.
And could you tell from looking at the records or from your memory? And if you have to look at the records to refresh your memory, that's fine. Just let us know. Can you tell what days of the week that the child was going to daycare, primarily like during those summer months?
Yeah. So as I look at June, he was present a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. He was absent the following week. In July, he was present a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, then a Monday, Tuesday, and then a Tuesday, Wednesday. In August, he was present the first 8 contact days, and then
And I'm
Tuesday,
sorry,
Wednesday. Pardon?
I don't know what contact days mean.
Like
So
the
we're looking
first
at
through the
days.
9th, but not the weekend. So the 1st, 2nd, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th.
Are those Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
They're actually a Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then again, a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I would say as I look over those 3 months, generally he was present on Tuesdays and Wednesdays with a regular Monday in addition, and then a few additional days as care was needed.
And can you tell me, particularly during those days that, and let's just look at not since for the summer, who was generally bringing Demetrius to daycare? And this is a daycare. Can you clarify, is this actual daycare or is this pre-learning?
In early childhood, they're considered the same. There's a schedule and a routine because that creates consistency for children. But we do offer care 11 hours a day, which is greater than your average school day.
Okay, well, I'll talk about that later, but let's just go back to who was dropping Demetrius off at your program during the day.
It is from our paperwork, it appears that between June 1st and August 21st, Danielle Newburn's name is on the log as well as staff. We do not have any evidence of Porter's login on Porter's name on the paperwork.
And what about the pickups during that time? Are they generally done by Ms. Newborn or Mr. Ward?
I have a few days in June 2nd and June 6th and June 19th that Alicia Skurlock's name is on the log. Other than that, I have Danielle Newburn.
And then were you aware at some point this last summer that Demetrius was also attending another daycare program?
I was. Porter actually notified us of that during that meeting, that they would be enrolling him in programming with the Montessori school in order to ensure his ability to attend for fall.
All right. And so do you remember when that meeting was?
It was around the same time that we had the discussion regarding authorized pickup and care of Demetrius and who was able to pick him up and drop him off. I
Okay.
believe it also in that meeting discussed what his summer plans would be, that we had the option to provide care for the summer if enrollment was requested.
Now, is there first, can you tell me how your daycare works? Do you have to pay for the daycare per week or is it per day?
It is actually an enrollment period, and it is not attendance dependent. So Demetrius was enrolled in a full-time spot, so the full-time fees were calculated every week. He
And
could
what
have
was it?
changed his enrollment to a part-time spot, but that was not able to be identified as a need, or the insurance of the full-time spot was necessary.
Okay, and what was the cost of that full-time spot?
$215 a week for full-time care. That was 6:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. available, and 5 days a week.
And can you, now that we're on that, can you tell me, what your learning center offers in the way of daycare? I mean, how is it set up?
So generally, we are a structured environment with regularly scheduled programming that looks like meals and snacks, rest time, outside time, small group time, large group time. There's also scheduled independent playtime for children. And within those concepts, they are practicing their pre-academic skills, their motor skills, their communication skills in order to prepare for that kindergarten environment.
And overall, how was did you have disciplinary issues with Demetrius while he has attended your program?
No, he was always a very well-behaved child, busy, but well-behaved.
Did you, and I want to talk about these bruises that you had mentioned. I mean, how often would you say per week he would get a bruise or an incident?
Demetrius had an ability to run into things that were in place. Chairs, tables. He had a lot of incidents with his cot where he would be busy moving around at rest time and he would hit his head on the edge. I would say that his frequency was probably once a week that he would damage the skin on his body or leave a mark. But they greatly decreased when he did end up getting those glasses.
And how did that conversation come about regarding checking his eyesight? Was that something you brought up or is it something one of the parents brought up?
We had acknowledged that as we were getting more into the academic routine of things, letter ID, numbers, Demetrius would say the phrase, "Oh, I didn't see that," or he would hold things closely. And I wondered out loud to both Danielle and Porter if they had considered a vision check. About a week later, Danielle returned and said he is needing glasses and he'll be getting them next week.
Once Demetrius got the glasses, was there a decrease in that type of, I don't know, bruises and bumps that you were seeing?
Yes, accidents greatly decreased on our end. He was still busy, but he was more able to avoid stationary objects and not hurt himself.
And when you talked about this, was Mr. Porter on board with getting his eyes checked? Or Mr. Ward, I'm sorry.
There was not consent or dissent. There was, okay. So I made sure to make sure that the message made it to both parents.
And the only parent that followed up with that was the mother, is that correct?
To my knowledge, yes.
The issue about these, you had indicated that there was these meetings when Mr. Ward would pick up the child. Can you tell me what about these interactions that you would have with Mr. Ward and the child at the time of pickup?
They generally picked up near the end of nap, and Demetrius was a good sleeper in that season, so he was generally asleep. We would wake him, get him going, and head him out to the hallway to get his belongings to be ready to head home with Porter and occasionally Alicia. They would check over him, making sure that his body was in good condition, looking at his stomach, checking his elbows, noticing his head, and then ask any follow-up questions they had about marks on his body, and then head home for the day.
Now, when you say check over him, I mean, is this normal? Did all parents come in and do a check over?
We were in a high conflict situation with this family at this time. This was unique to them.
And when you say check over him, what did that all entail?
Examining his skin, looking for marks on his body.
Did he have to take his clothes off to do that?
Not generally, but they would lift his shirt and look at his belly or his back.
And was this done in private or in a secure room with other individuals, or just done in the daycare?
Towards the end of the hall in the daycare, generally it was a low traffic area, but it was definitely a pathway.
Okay. Did you ever notice anything about this being particularly concerning behavior?
Depending on Demetrius's awake status, he would dispute it. He didn't prefer it. He was still sleepy. He didn't enjoy the transition in that way.
Was there any pattern that you could define or that you recall regarding who was generally dropping or picking off Demetrius to daycare?
In the last 6 months, I would say that generally drop off was a 50-50 split. And so in the 6 months I'm referring to are like January through June of 2023, because we established that May through August of 2023 was primarily Danielle. So in the January through June of 2023, I would say it was a 50-50 split between both parents. I could pull that data specifically if you desired it.
That's okay. Unless you think it would help you identify a pattern.
Not that I recall. Often it was, if Porter was responsible for drop off, he had some family members help him with that drop off because he was at work early, and that is why he got out of work at that 2 or 2:30 mark to pick Demetrius up during the end of day routine for nap. Danielle would generally pick up and drop off at later times. So when she was picking up and dropping off, he would be in between 8 and 9 and leave between 4 and 4:30 generally.
And then if you know who typically did the drop off and pickups for Mr. Ward?
It was either Mr. Ward himself, Mr. Ward and Alicia, or some brothers, and I would have to seek their names specifically. They generally did the drop-offs and occasionally the pickups.
Were these brothers adults?
They were driving. They were 16 to 19 years old. They were well known. They had been identified as people that were able to take care of Demetrius, and they were part of his care team.
You referred this to as a high conflict case. Had it always been a high conflict case?
No.
When did it start becoming a high conflict case?
Sometime in that year, the winter of 2022 to 23 is when things kind of began to feel that shift. There was a lot more of the daycare being put in the middle of what was happening at mom's and what was happening at dad's, and how we were doing a lot more of recovery mission. We were doing a lot more of documenting in order to protect us or to say it didn't happen here. There was a lot of concern about Demetrius's physical well-being, and that became a concern that where was he having injury? Where was he having sleep? Where was he having food? And a lot of conflict arose out of that.
Now, did you have personal experience with Demetrius, meaning one-on-one experience
did.
with him daily?
I did, yes.
Did you note any concerns, and we'll talk about each parent specifically, when mom, let's say, talk about mom first, when mom would drop off Demetrius, did you find any concerns regarding his health or well-being when mom dropped him off?
I did not. He was set up for the day. He was generally strolling in with a second breakfast because he was still eating. Um, he was chatty and ready and able.
And you're a mandatory reporter, correct?
I am.
So if you would have noticed anything on that was concerning, you certainly would have reported it, correct?
Yes.
And what about when Demetrius would come in from dad's care, either dropped off by dad or his girlfriend Alicia or one of his brothers? Did you ever note anything concerning when he would come in?
The time of day was very different for Demetrius, and he did not do well in that morning time, as well as he did at 8 or 9. And so he was generally dysregulated. He would eat more breakfast with us. He would have days because of the circumstance. And I'm not sure if it was associated with the time of day or if it was associated with the caregiver. But this condition of those days was always much longer for Demetrius. He took harder naps. He ate more lunch, things like that while he was in our care.
Okay. But did you notice anything significant concern health-wise or
No,
of his
never.
well-being? Okay.
No,
And you
never.
would have reported that if you would have seen
Yes.
something like that, correct?
Yeah, no, there was never any of that stuff from
So
either party.
So, and why did the parent, were both parents putting blame on the other one for these bumps and bruises that were happening to Demetrius?
To my knowledge, it wasn't so much blame on someone else as much as it was not being responsible for his injury themselves. That it was either there was a lot of worry about being blamed for the injury, not about blaming the other person. I don't know if I'm saying that well.
Okay. Well, and going back to this idea that you call it a high conflict, why did you decide to call it a high conflict case as opposed to just one of your regular cases?
We were incredibly defensive in this case. It didn't feel like what we could do was ever accurate in the eyes of Porter and his caregivers. We were often under pressure to have a report or to have it be an appropriate report. It was hard for us to allow Demetrius to be a bright, able, busy boy in our care and not be on defense of that.
And did you feel the same way from Miss Newbern?
We did not have those similar experiences with Danielle.
Was there times when Mr. Ward or his girlfriend became upset with the agency or in any regard?
Yes.
Can you explain or describe that?
If we did not have a complete answer, or if we needed to follow up on an incident, say the caregiver who was releasing Demetrius was not the caregiver that was present during the accident on the playground, there was a sense of frustration, a verbal response of dissatisfaction from Mr. Newborn, from Mr. Ward, or from Alicia. And that was really difficult to be prepared for those conversations when we didn't always know what the bike accident or what the injury was. And so we were trying to honor Demetrius being an average 4-year-old boy with really good friends in school, and not isolate him from those interactions with classmates and yet honor the request to keep him very safe and very secure while in our care.
Were most of your dealings, with Mr. Ward directly or with his girlfriend?
That changed over the length of our care. Mr. Ward was always very congenial and respectful. Most of our high stress and interactions were actually with his girlfriend.
Did you ever have to raise any concerns with either parent about Demetrius? And if so, did you have those interactions with both parents?
I believe that we had conferences with both parents. Kaylee had those as the classroom teacher. From a program standpoint, I did not have any concerns other than like planned future enrollment. And in those situations, we raised them with both parents.
Do you, in your observations, did you have any, were you able to observe Demetrius's reactions when the parents came to pick him up?
He always enjoyed his mother and his father. He's glad to see them.
And he enjoyed seeing them equally as much. Would you agree?
I would agree. I think that depending on who was with them, changed Demetrius's response. He was more connected to Porter than he was to Alicia, the girlfriend.
And do you think both parents showed appropriate love and affection towards Demetrius?
I do. They both care for him greatly.
And I understand that they may care for him greatly, but would you state that each of them show the appropriate kind of affection? Hugs. I mean, what normal parents would do when they see their child at the end of the day.
Yeah, they would both pick him up and greet him and look him in his eyes and respond to him and ask him how his day was. They both really interacted on Demetrius's level for Demetrius's sake.
And did you, at least during the time until the summer came and before he started attending the other daycare center, do you believe that one parent was more involved than the other?
I think that their schedules allowed for different involvement. And so because of their work schedules, they were both available in different ways. Danielle may be able to leave work for an illness more easily than Porter, but Porter was more able to pick up some days and head home. And so it just depended on what the need was. Both of them made time for parent interactions. Both of them made time to facilitate Demetrius's needs. Both of them made time to listen to Demetrius's development. So in that way, I could not discern a difference. It was an ineptness. It may have been different, but it was never inept.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Ms. Storm, any additional redirect?
Just a few here. You said there was a time when Donnie removed the permission for Porter to do pickups and drop-offs. That was correct?
Yes.
And isn't that during the time frame where you said that Donnie is the one who was doing the majority of the pickups during that time period?
I thought it was prior to that, but I could have misspoke.
Maybe I misspoke. I was trying to figure out, because you said during January through June of 2023, it was about equal, but you mentioned that at another point it was primarily Donnie, and I wanted to verify whether Danielle, whether that time frame aligns with the time frame that Porter was removed from the authorized people to pick up and drop off.
I will look.
Thank you.
In my system that I can see in this quick search, it has Don Porter terminated as of 8/26 when Demetrius was terminated from our care and became an inactive student of 2023. May 15th, so I'm going backwards in time, May 15th to August 26th of 2023 was primarily the pickup and drop off by Danielle and a few, I think I saw 3 instances of Alicia in June. When I pulled that same attendance and time validation from January 2nd and until June 1st of 2023, I am able to see Alicia Skurlock's name sprinkled throughout, but I am not able to see any evidence of Porter Ward's name sprinkled throughout.
Okay.
The way that our
And so Alicia
system...
would have had to have been on, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, so according to what I understand from your testimony, Alicia, if she's picking up during those times, she was an authorized pickup.
Correct.
Okay. But at that time, Porter was not.
I'm sorry, I missed the end of your question.
I'm sorry, the question was, but at that same time, Porter was not an authorized pickup or drop off.
He was always an authorized pickup and drop off during that time. I don't believe he accessed a unique code associated with him. And so I have no evidence of that one way or the other in the daily drop off and pickups because the code that he was utilizing would have been someone else's.
Okay, so when you say the code, that's when, is that the difference we were talking about earlier when there was access code that he could have signed up for on his own? Is that the code you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, so originally, was Porter using the same access code as Danielle before being removed?
That was my understanding, because they had shared that code amongst themselves. We encourage families to use their own code, but it doesn't always result in that way.
Okay, so prior to him having his own code, it would have been Danielle's code coming up regardless of who was picking up, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and then after he was removed from her authorized pickup and drop off, he got his own code and account, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and at that point, that's when he started using his own code for pickups and drop offs?
So his code has actually never been activated. The only code in the system that was activated was under Alicia.
Okay, so did they create one for Porter and Alicia separate then from Donnie's, I guess?
I believe, yes, that is true.
Okay, and do you believe, do you know whether Alicia and Porter shared the code system that was under Alicia's name?
I am not sure.
Okay. Are there times that you or the other teacher was unaware of a mark on Demetrius until it was brought up by either Danielle or Porter?
I would assume that that answer is yes, but I cannot recall a specific incident.
Okay, and Did you, I heard a little bit of testimony about what the parents were involved at pickups and drop-offs. Were both parents involved with Demetrius while he was in your care?
Yes.
Okay. And while Demetrius was in your care, was there ever a time when, let me back up, I should say, when children are in your care, do you allow others to come and visit or take the children out for the day, like a grandparent or someone?
With notification of adults, we're an open door. So any parent is allowed to say, so-and-so is coming to pick up and will be returning or will not be returning. That is the right of the authorized pickup. Or we'll be visiting for a while and then we'll be leaving. We do the same for nursing mothers as well. They're allowed to enter to nurse and then leave again.
Okay. And do you know whether that was ever done with anybody on Danielle's side?
Yes, her mother.
Okay. Do you know approximately how many times that might have happened?
I would go with less than between 5 and 10 over the course of a year and a half.
Okay. So more than 5, potentially more, but certainly less than 10?
Correct.
Okay. And do you know what the reasons were for these absences?
He would always return afterwards. They would generally like go to lunch and then come back for rest time.
Okay. When the marks on Demetrius were discussed with Danielle and Porter, how did Danielle react? How did she handle that news?
I think it depended on what type of mark it was. If it was, there was a bike accident and he wrecked and he scratched his knee or his elbow is bleeding, she would generally respond with, do you think it needs follow-up care? And we would show her where it was on his body or explain how we provided first aid care. And then she would make her deduction as necessary and go from there.
Okay. And how would Porter handle the same type of situation?
Porter was very similar. Alicia was the person that needed to know more information, who was involved, including confidential information that we could not share about other children.
Okay. And was that type of information kind of like who else was involved? Was there another child involved, that sort of thing?
Yeah.
Okay. In the situation where 2 children might have had conflict, would you normally notify the parents or guardians to try and work it out between the parents?
No, it was always handled within building. We generally would allow parents to know that another child was involved, but we would never disclose the information of who the other child was or what that was never the expectation.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All right. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Ms. Ives, any recross?
Just a couple. Miss Potter, wouldn't it be true that Miss Newburn removed Mr. Ward from her Connect code about the time she learned that he was enrolling the child in the Montessori school on his days?
It would be true.
Would object because we haven't established that Ms. Potter knew about when when the Battle Creek Montessori enrollment happened, or that she would have any sort of direct knowledge of the correlation of those events.
Okay, Ms. Ives, maybe you can lay a foundation.
I will, Your Honor. So, Ms. Potter, can you either through your recollection or refreshing your memory, tell us when about the time and date that you realized that or were made aware that Demetrius was going to be attending another daycare center, that being the Montessori?
Yes. Let me see if I can pull up that email from Porter. I had contacted Porter and Danielle on April 26th about enrolling in preschool after the state-funded preschool ended, and he did not respond in written format. So I would believe that after that April 26th unresponded email, I had had a conversation with them at one of the pickup or drop-offs. And that is when they disclosed that they would be transitioning his enrollment for preparing him for kindergarten enrollment in Montessori.
And when you, upon learning that information, were you, did you disclose that to Miss Newborn, or was there any conversation with her about that?
We discussed what that would mean for the enrollment, whether we would be maintaining a full-time enrollment for Demetrius at Bright Light, or whether we would be moving to a part-time enrollment for Demetrius at Bright Light regarding the cost comparative of that. And the decision at that point in time was to maintain the full-time enrollment in the event that she needed the care.
And do you recall about when, approximately when that conversation might have took place?
Since the state-funded preschool ended May 5th, I would expect that that conversation took place during the week of May 5th, May 1st through May 5th.
Okay, and then so at this point in early May, or at least by mid-May, Miss Newburn and your agency is aware that Mr. Ward is going to enroll Demetrius in another daycare program.
Yes, we expected him to be absent because he was enrolled elsewhere. So when he was absent, we did not follow up on his consecutive absences.
And do you recall the date that Danielle, are you able to identify the exact date Danielle removed him from her Parent Connect code?
I am struggling to find that
Your
exact
Honor,
date
that
while
was
on
asked and
this.
answered.
Pardon?
That was my objection is that was a question that was asked and answered. I have a date written down of when you testified of when Ms. Newburn removed my client.
Okay, let me see if I have that.
Yeah, I must have missed the date. I don't recall her actually saying in a date.
I'll let her answer. I have it spring of 2023, but I don't have an exact date. So if you have the exact date, Ms. Potter, go ahead.
I do not have the exact date. I'm struggling to find that data while we're on this call.
Do you believe it was about the same time or before or after that Miss Newburn removed him from the Parent Connect? And when I say that, maybe I better clarify the question. At the time that we realized the minor child was going to be going to Montessori school, do you believe it was before, about the same time, or after that Miss Newburn removed him from her Parent Connect code?
I believe it was about the same time. I just had an idea. May I resource one more opportunity?
You can, yes.
Thank you. I had applied a vacation credit to the billing ledger for the week of May 19th. We bill on Fridays for the upcoming week. So the vacation credit was the week of May 22nd through May 26th. our policy in our organization is that they're able to use a vacation credit in order to forego a week's worth of payment. That was the week that Danielle went out of town with Demetrius and accessed that vacation credit for that purpose. It was the week prior to that Danielle removed Porter from authorized pickup for Demetrius within the center, which would create the timeline that they had established, a Montessori, a preschool plan for a care plan for summer between May 5th and May 18th. At that point in time, Danielle went on vacation for a week. While Danielle was on vacation was when I met with Alicia and Porter. Demetrius returned to our care according to the attendance records. May 30th. And then was documented in attendance May 30th, June 1st, and June 2nd. And on June 2nd is the first occurrence I have, the next occurrence I have of Alicia Skurlock using her code to sign Demetrius in and out.
So at that point, would Mr.
During that
Ward
meeting with them, the week of May 22nd was when they told me that he would be enrolling in Montessori.
So are we still able then from all of that identify when Miss Ward removed or when Miss Newburn removed Mr. Ward from her parental connect app?
My memory is that it was the week between May 15th and 19th.
Okay. Now, by doing that, that doesn't mean Mr. Ward couldn't have access. He still could create his own parental code, correct?
He was removed as an authorized pickup by Danielle.
Okay. But his girlfriend still was authorized as indicated that she picked up in June.
Our primary parent of Danielle had notified us that he was still doing parenting time, physical custody time with Porter and his entities. So when they returned from their vacation, Alicia and Porter were still able to care for Demetrius and pick him up and drop him off from our center per our primary contact's authority.
Okay, so it wasn't that he wasn't allowed to pick up the child. He was just removed from a platform. Would that be correct? I'm
Yes.
having a hard time understanding this.
Yes, it was a very hard time to navigate. Yes, you're correct. I thought he got reinstated to that platform. I'm not able to find that data. So in my system, he looks like he is reinstated as well. And I didn't do that, so I'm not certain.
Uh-oh, we lost one of our.
Lost.
Hold on a second. We lost Miss Storm.
Potter, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to say that, Miss Potter. When Demetrius's grandmother picked him up for those days that you identified, I mean, did that cause any disturbance in his, daily routine? I mean, was there anything to be concerned about of that?
Generally, he would know ahead of time that grandma was coming and he was going to get to spend lunch with her, and he was able to exit for an hour and come back and participate back into the routine as he re-entered.
And did anyone from Mr. Ward's side ever take the child out for lunch or activity?
Not that I
during the
recall.
day? Okay. But generally they would pick how late does daycare go?
5:30.
Okay, but Mr. Ward would generally pick up Demetrius early?
It would be anywhere between 2 and 4, but generally closer to 2 or 2:30.
Okay. I have no further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Okay,
I have some follow-up questions, Your Honor.
okay, make it short. I don't want to.
I will. I need to clarify this timeline, Ms. Potter, because when Ms. Ives was first asking you questions, you testified that for 6 months, it was 50-50 drop off, January to June of 2023. And at that time, you said either Porter or Alicia would do pickups at 4 or 4:30. Now you're saying it's 2:30. Which one is it?
Porter was generally 2 or 2:30, as late as 4. Danielle was generally 4 or 4:30.
Okay, so why did you testify earlier that Porter and Alicia were 4:30?
Well, I'm gonna object because I don't think that's what you testified to earlier.
Well,
I
let
mean,
me go
I've got
back
it
and,
written down, and the court could certainly review the record.
Let me go back and review. Hold on. Well, I'll let you proceed. I've got a lot of dates and different times, but I don't have particularly that, so I'll let you get clarification.
Okay, so why say 4:30 at one point, but now it's 2:30?
I don't believe I did, because they generally picked up during nap time, and nap time ended between by 2:30 because snack was served at 3.
And the daycare, the pickup time is any time during that daycare time, right? It's not you have to stay until 5:30?
100% correct.
Okay, and again, regarding the dates, during that same time you were discussing that, you looked at your notes and records and said that Donnie removed Porter on August 28th as an authorized pickup on her account. Do you remember that?
The system terminated on August 28th because he wasn't authorized to pick up at that point in time. Donnie removed him in May of 2023, and then he was reinstated to be terminated again in August of 2023.
Why would he be reinstated just to be terminated again?
Well, that was on the primary contact parent's role. It wasn't on my role.
Okay, so this was Donnie's decision to take him off, put him on, take him off?
So the final takeoff of August 2023 was when Demetrius was no longer enrolled in our program. And so his record on our program software was terminated. The removal or addition of authorized pickups or contact individuals is allowed in the app software by the primary contact. That was done within their own portal.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Anything else as a result of that, Ms. Ives?
I apologize. No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Potter, that concludes your testimony. Thank you very much. You're excused. Have a good day.
Thank you. You as well.
And then, Your Honor, I was told a message, my assistant passed me a message and indicated that one of the other witnesses, Miss Irwin, has logged in from Dudley Elementary under Martha Hosek's name. I don't know if she's in the waiting room or not, but they let me know that if we're looking
Yes,
for Irwin.
I sent some messages because I saw the Hosek name, I thought it was the same person, but yes.
Yep, she's available apparently. Are we taking her next, and who's doing the direct?
Yes, that's fine. I believe we both called her.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, Rhonda can go first if she wants. I can go first. It doesn't matter.
Well,
Welcome to go.
what, Ms. Ives?
Miss Storm is welcome to.
Okay. Well, let's keep Ms. Storm first, as we've been doing that in the other ones, and so we don't have any confusion.
Unmute your device, ma'am, please. Can you hear us?
Ma'am, are you able to hear us? Can you hear us now, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. We can hear you now as well. What we're going to do is have you sworn in. So if you would raise your right hand and then we'll proceed.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you are about to give shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay, you can put your hand down. Thank you, Ms. Storm. You can proceed.
Thank you. Ms. Irwin, could you please state your name for the record?
Hi, I'm Ronise Irwin, the 21st Century Coordinator.
And is that at Dudley Elementary?
It is.
Okay. And are you familiar with either of the parties, Porter Ward or Danielle Newbern?
Yes.
And are you familiar with either or both?
Both.
And are you familiar with their son, Demetrius?
Yes.
Is he enrolled in the 21st Century program?
He is.
Okay. How long have you been working in the 21st Century program?
Since September of 2023.
All right. And had you done a program like this prior to September of 2023?
No, I was a lead teacher.
Okay. And what grades did you teach?
I was a kindergarten teacher, as well as a preschool teacher.
Wonderful. Okay. And do you have any personal or familiar connection with either Porter Ward or Danielle Newbern?
No.
Okay. You're not related by blood or even fictive kin, as we would say, like a godparent or something like that?
No, not at all.
Okay. And have you been able to have contact with both Ms. Newbern and Mr. Ward?
Yes.
Okay. How has your contact with Ms. Newbern been?
It's always pleasant information about Demetrius. Yes.
Okay. And how has your communication with Mr. Ward been?
It's been a couple times with Mr. Ward. I have given him itinerary about the program a couple times.
All right. And you described your interactions with Ms. Newbern as pleasant. How would you describe your?
Yeah, pleasant. Him pleasant as well.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that you provided the itinerary for 21st Century. Was that at his request?
Yes.
All right. And did he seem interested in the 21st Century program and what it entails?
Not too much.
All right. What sort of interactions did you have with him as the coordinator of the 21st Century program?
A couple times when he picks up Demetrius, I met him in the front of the building because he wanted to know about the program. So I explained that to him, and he wanted to know if I had any paperwork about the program, which was our newsletter, which tells everything that we do on 21st Century, our times and everything.
Okay. Do you believe that you've had more contact with one parent over the other?
Probably more with the mother.
And why do you believe that that has happened?
Demetrius attends my morning program too, because it's a before program as well as an after school program. And mom is the one who drops him off in the morning.
Okay, so because she drops off in the morning, you're able to have more contact with her?
I see her more, yes.
Okay, and then you're able to see whoever picks up in the afternoon as well?
Actually, when Demetrius attends, he doesn't attend regularly in the afternoon program, but mostly in the morning program. So usually when he comes in the afternoon, the times that he does come, what I can recall, grandma picked up. I had interaction with grandma, yes.
Okay, and can you tell us about the program, both the morning and the afternoon, what its structure is like, what it entails kind of?
Okay, yep. So in the morning, we open the doors from 7:40 to 8 o'clock. The students, we go into the classroom, we read books. If they have homework that needs to be finished, we finish the homework. And then we might do puzzles, a little bit of enrichment time until they go to their classroom, which is at 8:45 a.m. I take them to their classroom. The afternoon program runs from 3:40 to 6:20. We get the students at 3:40 because they get out of school at 3:50. We get them at 3:40. They come into our program. They have dinner. After dinner, we go into academic hour, which is us helping them with homework. We also have a computer program called Stride, which helps them with math, and it tells us where they are as far as their math skills, as well as a program called Accelerated Reading. in the afternoon. And that also tests the students on their reading skills and shows us where they are.
Okay, and how does Demetrius do in the morning program?
Demetrius does great in the morning program.
Okay, and is he well behaved in the morning program?
Yes, yes.
Okay, do you have any sort of behavioral issues or things with him about fidgeting or paying attention?
That's with all the students though, so no more than with the other students, so.
So just the normal type of.
Yeah, just the normal redirection, yes.
Okay, does he respond well to the redirection?
He does, he does.
Okay, and the you indicated that my client did ask you for program information. Is it your testimony that you provided that to him?
Yes.
Okay. And in the afternoon, how is Demetrius doing?
It's hit and miss in the afternoon. He doesn't come every day in the afternoon. Now in the morning, he comes every morning, but in the afternoon, it's kind of hit and miss. So he has not been in the program that I recall since in the afternoon in about a week or so. And I can't recall for last week because I was out sick all last week, so.
Okay. And the days that he misses, what days are those normally?
Usually Wednesdays and Thursdays, because we don't have program on Fridays. In the afternoon.
Is that no program for the afternoon?
Yep, just in the afternoon. In the morning, we have a program in the morning on Friday morning, but in the afternoon, we don't have program.
Okay, okay. And do you know why Demetrius misses on those days? The program in the afternoon?
Sometimes dad picks up early, or before he even gets to my program, come to the program, they said that he's been picked up already, so, which is from his classroom.
Do you know whether or not father was involved in the decision for Demetrius to attend the 21st Century program?
I don't know.
Okay. Is there a mission statement for the program?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Yes, I'm pretty sure it is. I don't have it on hand right now though, but yes, I'm pretty sure it is a mission statement, yes.
That's okay. I was just kind of wondering if you were able to give a summary, even just a generalized mission statement. It doesn't have to be word for word or anything like that.
Just where the students come and they learn and they're all treated equal, and yeah, this just the success of their academics and education. Basically, that's the breakdown of it.
Okay. And do you guys work with the teachers directly with the students to figure out where their weak spots are or what their needs might be?
Yes, we do. We have to pull data every Friday. So for the STRIDE program and that accelerated reading, I have to pull data every Friday, and I have to give that to my supervisor, and that shows them where the students are, what they need help with, how we can help them, and that kind of stuff. So yes, I do team up with Ms. Van Warren and all the other teachers with the students in my program.
Okay, and you indicated that there were two programs. Let's start with the computer STRIDE program that works on math, correct?
Yes, yep, they access, sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I was just going to ask, how is Demetrius doing with that program and where is he kind of falling?
He's doing great. He is very good with math. He does really good. He is one of the few kids that needs help. They access it off of a laptop. All the students have like a QI code, so they have to use this QI code to get into the laptop to access the program. So Demetrius is very self-sufficient when it comes to that.
Okay, and he does well with that program?
He does.
Does that allow him to access some more advanced mathematics to help him progress and challenge him?
Exactly. It shows where he is and where we could actually take him. So like if he's already advanced in that, it gives him another level too. So yes.
Okay, and is that something that is available to students all throughout their attendance at Dudley Elementary, regardless of grade
Yes, in 21st century, yes.
at 21st Century? Okay.
Yes, yes.
And is there a cost for the 21st Century program?
No, no cost. It's free.
And does the 21st Century program have any sort of parent-teacher conference or similar type situation that the school does, or is that wrapped up?
No, it's kind of wrapped up in one. We do have like parent engagement nights and that kind of stuff. And then like when we initially opened, we had like open house for the parents, that kind of stuff. So no conferences, but we do hold parent nights and that kind of stuff.
Okay. When was the most recent parent night?
And actually, I was just about to say we haven't had that yet because the day we were going to have it, I ended up getting sick, so we didn't have it. So actually, I have something coming out this week about that. So about when our next.
Okay, and will both parents be notified
Yes,
of
they
the
will.
opportunity?
Yes. Yep. I
Okay,
usually put
so
it.
they can both potentially have the. I'm so sorry. There is a delay. I'll let you.
Yep. Normally, it's in our. We do a monthly.
Hold on. We lost Miss Storm again. Oh, there she is. Can you hear me, Miss Storm?
Gotta love this. I can. Can you hear me?
Yep. We lost you just for a second, so.
It was a quicker one this time,
Yes,
thankfully.
it was. Getting
Ms.
shorter.
Irwin, I'm so sorry. I know there's a bit of a delay and my connection issues make it so that we're kind of talking over each other. So I'll let you finish your answer that you were answering.
Yes, we have every month we have a newsletter, and that newsletter entails everything we'll be doing for that month. So yes, the parents will know.
Okay, and is that something that's like emailed out to the parties, or is it just
it's printed out and it's given to the parents at pickup, or in the morning if they
Okay.
don't get it at pickup, the ones that come in the morning, they'll get it in the morning.
Okay, and so is there a way to ensure that Mr. Ward can get a copy of this if he's not, if the child's not going to the program on the days that he picks up for his parenting time?
Absolutely.
Okay, and would he just have to get in contact with you and provide like an email address or something?
I already have his email. I'm not sure if he has mine, but I have emailed him of the itinerary and stuff. One time I've given it to him in hand, and another time I emailed it.
Okay, well, wonderful on that. Does Demetrius have any disagreement, get into any sort of disagreements with the children during the program, either in the morning or in the afternoon? Anything reported like that?
No, not at all. No.
Okay, so no disciplinary issues that you've had to worry about?
No, like I said, just the redirection. That's it. That's really it. Redirection.
Okay. Do you know how often Demetrius was attending in the afternoon between October 2023 until February of this year?
I know February 13th he was here because he was picked up at 5:15 because I want to say grandma picked up. So like I said, it's usually hit and miss on the afternoon part. So because like if he comes in the morning, I'm like in the afternoon, if I'm expecting him, I'm like, is Demetrius coming? They're like, well, no, he's gotten picked up. So it's kind of hit and miss with that. But like I said, I do remember February 13th to be exact because grandmother picked up.
Okay, so sometimes grandma picks up early and he doesn't attend the program because grandma
that was one time grandma picked up. For like I said, most of the time he is picked up by dad before he even makes it to the program. So or they'll
he's picked up
as soon as he comes to the program, they'll call and say, well, Demetrius's father's here to get him. So he's probably in the program about a good 10 minutes, if that.
Okay. And do you have to attend both morning and afternoon to be able to be in the program?
You do, yes.
Okay. Does the days that Demetrius has missed interfere with his ability to remain in the program?
So actually it has not, because his mother and grandmother spoke with my supervisor. So they worked out something to where, because they were going through the custody thing, they worked out something to where they worked with mom.
Okay. All right. But do you know whether they got in contact with dad at all to discuss this?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
That's okay. I have no further questions for this witness.
Okay. Ms. Ives, any cross-examination?
Thank you. And Ms. Irwin, this 21st century program, Is it true that it's designed to help kids prepare them better for their educational needs?
That is true, yes.
And is it designed so that it can help them advance in their normal daily routine at school?
Yes, yes. And like I said, we partner up with the teachers too to see what the students need as well. And we partner together. So yes,
And I understand typically the program requires you to be there both before and after school, correct?
correct.
And per your statement on direct, somehow Miss Newbern managed to get permission through your supervisor so that Demetrius can attend in the morning and maintain and stay in the program, even though he is taken out of school early in the afternoons and not there on some days.
Yes, yes.
Do you think that that permission will continually be granted, or is that just a special permission that's temporary while these parties get through this case?
I think that's what it is. It's temporary while they get through the case. Yes.
And are you able to observe Demetrius one-on-one when you're in the program?
Yes, in the morning. Yes.
Okay. Does he, I guess there's other teachers involved in this program, then it's not just you?
Well, in the morning, it's just me, and I have 15 students in the morning, but in the afternoon, we have 42 students, and I do have other people that work with me. So it's 3 other people that work with me.
Okay. And do you know, or if you're able to observe, does he enjoy being in the program?
He does. When he's here, he does enjoy it. Yes. Yes.
And I understand Demetrius already does really well in school. He's at an above grade level reading. He really is proficient at math.
Yes.
Do you think that this program benefits him to the extent that it continues to help him improve from where he's at already?
Yes, and I do. And not only with just the academics, I feel like with the social emotional part too. So we do a lot of that. So, and like I said, we have enrichment programs, or we have providers that come out and they offer different programs for the kids. Like right now, we have the OEC coming out, so they bring animals out and that kind of stuff. So yes, not just academically, but social emotional too.
And have you, Demetrius has been in this program since the start of the 2023 school year?
Yes, in September.
And then, to your knowledge, both parents have always been on the contact list for emergency or contact information. Is that true?
That's true.
Did both parents, or was there an orientation that both parents may have attended?
The only person that came to the orientation was mom and grandma when I first initially met Demetrius.
Okay.
That was our open house.
And is there any part of the program that you've observed that Demetrius is particularly fond of?
He usually likes the enrichment stuff. So like the playing, of course, basketball, like in the morning, they get to do sports and basketball. So he loves to do that. If he comes in a little later, he's like, oh, I want to do basketball. So that's really the part that he really likes, the gym and the basketball and that kind of stuff.
Is it also designed to be like a mechanism where it can also help parents provide additional care if they have to go to work?
Exactly, yes.
And as far as you know, has Mr. Ward, tried to engage you and or talk to you about how the program could help Demetrius?
No.
If I were to ask you that question, like how can it help Demetrius? What would you say?
Like I said, for the Demetrius is advanced. So like I said, it'll show us where he is and it'll still level him up from where he's already at. So the data that we have to pull for Friday, like I said, every Friday, I pull the math and the reading data. And then, like I said, we show where they are and where they could be. So by Demetrius being advanced, we will put him when he gets on his computer, it goes to a different level for his math and reading. So, yes. And like I said, the social emotional part, being around other children and that kind of stuff is really good too.
Now, are you aware that Demetrius also attends another kindergarten class?
I heard that. I did hear that. Yes.
Okay. And so, but your program is only Monday through Thursday.
Yes.
So if Demetrius is in a different school on Fridays, you wouldn't have any, you wouldn't know anything about that.
I wouldn't, because we Monday through Friday we run, and the program is in the morning, but Monday through Thursday it runs in the afternoon. So we don't have an afternoon program on Fridays.
And is Demetrius in attendance? Well, except for Fridays, obviously.
Mhm.
And I guess every other Thursday when he attends the Montessori school.
Mhm.
Is Demetrius in attendance at your program in the morning regularly?
Yes, yes. In the morning regularly, yes.
Do you note any attendance problems for Demetrius?
Nope. Like I said, Mom, normally we get the kids, I stop getting the kids at the door at 8 o'clock. So Mom is normally coming to the door a little bit before 8 or at 8. So no attendance issues.
Okay, no tardiness issues?
No, not for 21st century, no.
How long have you been an educator?
Oh, for about 10 years.
And have you always been in the Battle Creek school system?
I worked for Garden of Dreams, which was a preschool, and I also worked at Lemon Tree, which is in the Y Center. So yes.
Are you familiar with the Bearcat Advantage program?
I am. That's the scholarship program. I do that, the scholarship program that the students, I think they have to go they have to start in kindergarten and go all the way through school, I do believe, to get that advantage, to get the 100% of the advantage, I do believe.
And if Demetrius has started in Dudley Elementary at the kindergarten level, that could potentially qualify him for 100% scholarship. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I have no further questions of this witness.
Ms. Storm, any redirect?
Thank you, Your Honor. I just had a question. You said that you had 15 students in the morning and 42 in the afternoon. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I thought you said that you needed to attend both morning and afternoon in order to be part of the program.
And you do the 15, they are in the afternoon program as well. They come in the morning and they come in the afternoon, yes.
So the additional
everyone doesn't come. I'm sorry, everyone that comes doesn't come in the morning. So by me just being alone in the morning, I can't have more than 15 students in the morning. So yes.
Okay. So not everybody in the afternoon is someone who attends in the morning.
Not at all. Yes.
So the afternoon program is available to students who can attend just the afternoon.
So if we are over, like I said, I don't have, it's only 50, I have 15 because it's just me. So I still have to be in ratio. So by me being, have to be in ratio, everyone can't come in the morning.
Okay, so the total of the 42 students, is it fair to say that all of them would come in the morning if there was enough of you to go around for it?
Yes, yep. That would be fair, yeah.
Because it's just you obviously are capped at the number of students that you alone can supervise?
Exactly, yes. It's a one, it's like a 1 to 15 ratio, so yes.
Gotcha. And so you've got more help in the afternoon, I understand.
Yes, I have a teacher on the team in the afternoon, which is a first grade teacher. She helps. I also have 3 YDWs, which are called the workers in the afternoon. So actually it's 5 of us all together.
Okay. And you said that the program helps improve students' academic and social skills. Speaking, and we've already discussed that Demetrius is very advanced for his age as far as academics. How is he with his social skills?
He does pretty well. He has like one friend. He doesn't socialize with everybody, but he'll get one friend and he'll team up with that friend and they'll do puzzles or they'll do coloring or Legos or something like that. So yes, but I encourage though. I encourage them as a group to kind of, talk, because I'm also engaged with them as well. So,
Right. Encourage them to mix it up
yep, we play
interact with each
games.
other.
Yes, we
Okay.
normally play games in the morning where it includes all of us. So, yes.
Okay, but would you say that Demetria, excuse me, has any sort of social skill deficiencies?
No.
Okay, on par and on track with what the other students are doing at least?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, all right. The students that are in the afternoon program only, did they, and because of the cap in the morning, did they also have to go through and make arrangements through the supervisor to be able to attend the afternoon program?
No, because the morning is basically the first come, first serve part. So whoever
Okay.
needed morning, the parents that stressed that they needed the mornings, once we hit 15, then that's when we stop. So yes.
Okay. So if you're enrolled in both, it's required to be in both, but if you're not enrolled in the morning, then it's okay to be just the afternoon, is my understanding.
Exactly.
Okay. That's all the questions I believe I have. Well, I just want to verify that the Bearcat Advantage, obviously, if they attend kindergarten through 12th grade, it's 100% coverage of tuition.
Yes.
All right. And if they don't attend the full 12 years plus kindergarten, do they automatically get nothing, or do they get just a lesser
I think it's
percentage of
another
coverage?
I believe there's another percentage of it if they don't start in kindergarten. So I believe it's like maybe 50% too. So it's something like that. So no, they do get something. They do get something.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Ms. Ives, any recross?
Your Honor, we don't have any other questions for this witness. We just would thank her and excuse her.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Warner, that concludes your testimony. You're free to go and have a good day.
Thank you.
Do we have any other witnesses?
Yes, we have a Dominic Milliman.
Okay.
We
We have a Dominic Milliman in the waiting room. I don't know who's called this individual. Is he going to be a short witness?
It should be a short witness. This is my witness, Your Honor.
Excuse me?
This should be a short witness, and it is my witness, Your Honor.
Okay, great. We'll bring him in and we'll do that.